So the other day, New York City had temperatures of like 80 to 85 degrees.
Meanwhile, up here
Today, we may actually reach, 70? It could hit 70 today.
70.
So it is going to warm up, but some severe thunderstorms are possible. We'll speak with Ray Stajic coming up in a few minutes on that issue. Ryan Schmelz.
They had 80-degree temperatures during the Yankee game on Saturday. The 20-9 win.
That ball.
3-0 they are.
Davey, last year you were very, very much like this in the beginning. And you were a lot of ha, and then by the end of the season, you were doing not so ha, wah, ha.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just trying to remind you.
But I'm not going to get contested like our little the sidekick that with Mr. Derminio.
Well, he was very angry.
With certain players.
I
don't do that.
Certain coaches, right? I mean... and then this morning we'll speak with Luke Perry. He's a professor, of course, at Utica University. Speaking of Utica University, wow, Davey, we'll talk about your bracket coming up. But that game last night, first of all, what a weekend for the Utica area. You had soccer Friday, Comet Saturday, soccer Sunday. Then you had the Frozen Four. The semifinal in the afternoon, the Comets winning the Pioneers winning in overtime Friday night, and then playing at 7 p.m. last night to a full house at Nexus. I've never seen so many people at Nexus.
Yeah.
And that might be one of the craziest games. I think both goalies did an unbelievable job. And there were just so many crazy offensive and defensive moments. Took the game. The Pioneers scored first. Then Hobart scored, and then with just less than 2 minutes left, I believe it was, in the first overtime period, they finally got one past Utica's goalie, Pirro, and Hobart wins their third consecutive national championship.
I mean, good for them. Talk about a nail-biter of a game. People who they got their money's worth. It was constantly looking back and forth. Both teams did a wonderful and spectacular job, and the Pioneers should be proud of them.
No. I hate Hobart. Hobart stinks. They're pieces of garbage. That's just how I feel.
Yes,
I got to tell you.
They stole victory from us.
Listen, both teams did play incredibly well, but it's so hard to lose at home, especially a team that had created this Cinderella story where this Pioneers team was not the one anybody thought was going to be the team that went all the way and won the national championship or even got into the Frozen Four. And the fact that we were able to pull it off here and do it here was a victory in itself for here. But, man, it would have been amazing to end with a national championship. And it was heartbreaking.
It was so close.
And when it comes down to the goalie, it's...
and he's only a freshman.
He's a freshman. Yeah. He was spectacular.
So I didn't see any of the game. I kept an eye on it.
It was available on NCAA.com.
So did the Pioneers have any chances in overtime to capitalize?
Davey, you don't understand. This game was there were some offensive drives by both sides that were, I don't know how we didn't win the game. I don't know how their goalie stopped a couple of these. He made some incredible saves. They played, and Utica also has to be credited with playing really great defense till the end. And I really think there were just, and this is my take, we'll at some point speak with Gary Heenan. I didn't want to bother him today. But I think and it'd be interesting if anybody else has an opinion on it. 315-736-0186. But there were a couple of players that were it was such an intense game. There were a couple of players that I think were gassed at the end for Utica and just let a couple of plays through that let the puck out of their end, which, and I don't claim to be a hockey aficionado. Love the game, love to go to the games. But it just seemed that there were a few players that were gassed, and I think that cost us the game in the end.
Going into overtime is always going to be rough because you're taxing yourself extra. Your body comes to expect you're playing very intensely for a certain period of time. So when you go to overtime or even double overtime, it's a lot of extra effort. So great job for the Utica Pioneers for hanging on.
All right, you can have all of that.
Okay,
I don't care to hear it. Not today. It's just one of those where it's you walk away just beaten, and you invest so much. Forget the players. You as a fan, you invest so much, and you walk away, and that's the end of it. And we wait for next year. So. And obviously the NCAA tournament. Your pick, Davey, is Florida, right, to win it all.
I have Houston and Florida in the championship, and Florida to win it. But I have all 4 number 1 seeds in my bracket.
I'm
If
surprised.
you don't believe me, I'll bring it in tomorrow and show you.
Do you think I'm questioning you? I am very surprised though that you didn't put Duke in the final.
I did. I have Duke in the final.
In the final?
Yes.
In the national championship?
No. I have Duke getting knocked out.
Yeah, you do.
I have Florida and Houston.
Okay. All right. Okay, we'll see what happens.
And here's the person that said, I hope Duke gets out, eliminated in the Elite 8. And they didn't. They dominated Florida. Arizona on Saturday night.
We'll speak also with Joe Iowski, and there's a lot to talk about there. Joe is the Mohawk Valley Materials businessman who was running for the Stefanik seat. And, by the way, Constantino was busy. His people, he has people apparently. Not only did they post our interview.
A great article, by the way, too.
Well, thank you. And I think it's quite accurate. He reminds me of like a P.T. Barnum crossed with maybe some WWE guy who's mid-level, trying to make a name for himself.
Mid-amateur.
Mid-amateur, yeah. Maybe the New England Wrestling Federation. One that no one will really ever know. Yeah, that's
just
what
as long as he doesn't bring out the chair the next time he's on the show.
Good point. That is a good point. Anyway, they took our interview and then he added his own audio into it where I was potting him down. Listen, you come into this studio and you disrespect us, and you come in ready to fight like he was ready to fight. We have no choice but to defend ourselves. Anyway, what a goon. And we'll speak about that. And by the way, over the weekend, he was texting. And in fact, it amazes me that he must be spending, he's still spending money. No, he did a mass text that didn't come to me. It actually came to my wife's phone. She responded by saying, "Utica hates you, go away." That was my wife.
Wow.
I love it.
Them's fighting words.
This is Anthony Constantino. Thanks to you. This guy is cuckoo. Thanks to you, we won every poll, which is unheard of for a political newcomer. First of all, we don't know anything about, and here's the thing about the polls. This is important. And I think I explained it in the op-ed that I did on Friday. This is important. When someone produces their own poll, they come up with their own questions. They come up with their. We do not know the algorithm used. We don't know how they're conducting the poll,
or the people
and they're paying for it. They're paying for the poll. So when that happens, you look at that poll and say, okay, that could be an indicator, but it might not be. You don't give it any credibility because it's not an independent poll. You want to use a poll that is not designed and paid for by the person who's in the poll.
I'm sure he also didn't have a margin of error included into his poll either.
Well, he might have. He may very well might have, but I'm just saying you can't trust a poll that is an inside poll. It'd be nice to look at those numbers and kind of figure out the methodology that was used, but you just can't. You just don't. You don't give that the same weight that you'd give an independent poll. We won a poll conducted by President Trump's pollster, which had me beating the Democrat. There's the other issue, and that
if they were so confident, they would have nominated Stefanik, but they weren't.
Here, that is exactly it, and I put that in the story. If President Trump and Stefanik were so high on Anthony Constantino as he claims, in fact, I believe he has said that the president was, when they met, the president was rubbing his neck while they were sitting there. He just loves him so much. He was rubbing his neck and patting him on the head. Do you believe that?
How's that for a mental image?
Yeah. Anyway, well, that's what he describes. It's like everything is so far over the top. It's ridiculous. But if they were so confident, they would have just nominated him.
Yeah.
And believe me, if Stefanik and the president were to say, this is the candidate we want, and they had every ability to do that.
Yes, and also
if
bully
they were
the
to say
Conservative Party.
to the chair people, this is who we want, they could have easily talked to the Conservative Party and said, we must coalesce, and we're all going to pick one candidate. This is what I'm asking. And by the way, you say that's unheard of. The president has done it in many special elections where he comes out to say, here's the candidate I'm endorsing.
And they fall in line.
And he never did that. And why is that? Because everything that Anthony Constantino says is BS. It's ridiculous. Even somebody who's not a political follower, somebody who doesn't follow politics, somebody who isn't a political aficionado, they would understand, God, this guy's full of it. I respect President Trump's decision to keep Congresswoman Stefanik in her seat for now, and I would have done the same thing if I were in his shoes. Let me know your thoughts on how I can continue to be helpful in New York politics, which led my wife to respond by saying, go away. And why would you text my wife? She's a Democrat. Why would you even go there? She's already. So
How
that's
did he
telling
get her
me.
number?
So you can buy these lists. That's telling me that it's a sloppy. You would want to speak to Republicans, not Democrats. I'm a Republican. I didn't get it. Maybe he took me off the list. I just think it was
your number, Bill.
It was a bad list. It was a waste of money and a waste of money. But I guess if you have it and you're that wealthy that you can just blow money at will.
But it was interesting that he did admit that getting into politics, he doesn't recommend it if you have a successful business.
Yeah, he's saying it did not. Did he come out and say it didn't help his business? Yeah, I did say that. I think he did say that.
Yeah, it was a very interesting take. I was surprised that he said that.
I never saw it coming. I honestly never saw it coming. I really thought we were going to have this nice little pleasant Constantino interview. And it just didn't work out that way. Davey, I'm going to break quickly. I don't know if you have somebody on. Oh, it is Ryan? Okay. I'm not seeing it up here. I wonder why. Huh? Okay, that's why. Fair enough. Ryan Schmel's with us with Fox News Radio. Ryan, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
So we're just talking about the Stefanik issue, and one of the candidates, it turned into a debacle on Friday, came into the studio and wanted to fight and verbally.
What?
Oh, it was brutal. Ryan, it was unbelievable. But you must defend your ground, right? I mean, you just can't roll over. Meanwhile, he's claiming he won every poll that was done. Yet the way this was selected, the chair people of each county, the Republican chairs selected the candidate. He won every poll. Yeah. Our statement is pretty solid, though. If President Trump and Elise Stefanik wanted this candidate, they would have said, we are nominating Elise as ambassador, and here's our candidate, and we want the chair people to follow suit. And that never happened. In fact, I think on the reporting that you've gotten, some of the work that you've done on this, the president and Stefanik were nervous about this race and didn't want to risk it.
Yeah, from what we have reported at Fox is that they were very nervous about this race. And President Trump has said it out loud. I mean, he said that a Republican would probably win, but he doesn't think that probably is a strong enough word. He wants a guarantee, and he felt that Elise going back to Congress, Stefanik going back to Congress guarantees that this seat is going to stay red. Now, that doesn't excuse that there are some Republican circles, not every Republican circle feels this way, but there are still at least some in the halls of Congress who feel that this was, kind of unnecessary and maybe an overreaction and too soon, because you have these two special elections in Florida. They're definitely on upset alert, where they're very red districts, and there is a possibility that Democrats might be able to pull off an upset in at least one of them.
Yeah.
But I think there's those who think that they should probably just wait until after those elections were settled and then decide if you need to evaluate if Stefanik needs to come back to Congress or not. Because, if they pull off an upset, then, you probably do have to pull the trigger and make sure that it doesn't get flipped or even just vacated for a couple months. But if not, and these two candidates win, well, then you have two more seats and a more cushy majority to deal with.
I was really surprised that, just as you said, that they made the move when they did. The president made the move when he did. And the other thing is, there was a Politico poll out that had every Republican that was
generic Republican. That's the word, right?
Any Republican beating the Democrat in this very Republican district.
Yeah.
So not necessarily Anthony Constantino, P.T. Barnum wannabe. Instead, any Republican would have won. So I do find it interesting. Megan has a question.
Yeah, Ryan, going off on what Bill said is how did they crunch the numbers in order for them to make the decision to pull the trigger? Because this is a reliably red district, overwhelming for Elise Stefanik. So do you know what the president was using to determine that the risk wasn't worth it?
Not specifically what the president was using. We have heard that just within some circles that the White House or Stefanik's team kind of looked at this possibility of a third-party candidate running or a third conservative nominee running and kind of squabbling the vote up. And I don't think there was a guarantee that there was going to be a unified Republican candidate that was going to, make sure that this polling was accurate to 17%, or at least, give Republicans a chance to make sure that they take advantage of a Republican district. So I think the idea of a third Republican running was a concern. Now, Chad Pergram, our senior congressional correspondent, and we talked about this on a podcast over the weekend, where he was saying that there were some rumblings too that Stefanik was, becoming a little annoying to the Trump administration. She was pestering about, getting her nomination confirmed and getting the vote because, she was going to be a safe confirmation. Now, how much that played into the decision, we don't know. Yeah. But it certainly wasn't something to be ignored, is what it sounds like.
Wow, that's interesting.
I can understand her frustration. She was one of the first people to be nominated, and so she was hanging in limbo for almost 4 months.
A long time, yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I kind of wondered about that, if there was some personality thing that none of us really know anything about that occurred. And that's certainly, because I got to tell you, Ryan, at the end of the day, what a blow to Elise Stefanik having to stay in Congress. She had a really good job on the way.
Yes.
Well, exactly, because as somebody pointed out, she was one of the first people to be nominated. She was one of they had her confirmation hearing the day after the inauguration, and they didn't even bother to do a roll call vote when they voted her out of committee because it was unanimous. She had bipartisan support, even amongst Democrats. So she was going to cruise to the nomination, could have gotten upwards of maybe 60 Democrats, maybe even more, voting for her. I mean, 60 was going to be probably the under on that betting odds. And this is certainly a blow. And now there's this big question of what she's going to do in leadership, because we haven't gotten any indication that of what role she'll have. Then nobody has said they're going to be stepping aside to create a role for her, and the person who replaced her as the conference chair, sources are telling us she's not stepping down either.
Right.
So there's a big question of where does Stefanik fit into GOP leadership moving forward?
Well, it's funny. I did see a report that Mike Johnson has said that they're going to bring her back into leadership, but you're right. Where? Where is that? What is that? So very interesting. All right. Oh, politics. Just crazy. So. And by the way,
fun, right?
Our man Davey right here has all four. He picked all four number ones in the final four.
Wow.
Okay.
It really was the year to just pick all favorites and just let it happen.
It really, there were very few upsets. So, all right, Ryan, have a wonderful day. Thank you, man.
All right, see ya.
Okay, Ryan Schmelz with Fox News Radio. You want to add to that, Davey? You want to? No, there'll be no adding to that.
He's being
whatsoever.
humble.
Megan with an update on news.
Good morning. WIBX 950 AM 92.3 FM news time is 6:39. I'm Megan Stone. It is 53 degrees under cloudy skies. Your full weather forecast is coming up next. A new scam A new scam is hitting the area. This time, it's criminals pretending to be from the Office of Social Security. Rome police said scammers are impersonating government officials, claiming their Social Security number was compromised. Some of these calls start with a person claiming to be from Amazon before transferring them to the fake authorities. These calls sometimes spoof the official FBI phone number with an area code 202. The victim will then be instructed to withdraw funds from their bank account to deposit them into a secure location. Rome police say officers will never make such a request and urge residents to hang up on these calls. You could read more about this on WIBX950.com. Severe weather is threatening large swaths of the country today. Strong storms, hail, and tornadoes are even possible for much of the East Coast. Central New York, as well as the Hudson Valley and southern tier, are most likely to see the strongest of the storms, which could bring flash flooding, whipping winds, and yes, even the slight possibility of a tornado. The stronger storms are expected after 4 p.m. Ray Stajic will be calling in just a few minutes to preview what to expect. A 75-year-old woman was found safe after vanishing from her Westmoreland home. The Oneida County Sheriff's Office said they received a missing persons report for Brenda Kelly, and authorities began searching for her. Police were able to find her using the unmanned aerial system unit in a wooded area that was roughly a 3/4 of a mile behind a residence on State Route 233. Kelly was medically evaluated at the scene before being taken to Wynn Hospital for what authorities say were non-life-threatening injuries. And Central New York motorists are paying slightly less at the gas pump these days. AAA says the average cost for a gallon of regular fuel right now in the Utica-Rome area is $3.26. That's down a penny from yesterday and 3 cents lower than this time a month ago. Herkimer County had similar prices, but residents can save a little by fueling up in nearby Madison County, which is averaging $3.19 a gallon. Meanwhile, the lowest prices in Central New York is still in Onondaga County with an average of $3.07. Currently, the state average is sitting at $3.11. Nationally, it's $3.16. Your WIBX news time is 6:41. Here is your Weather Center forecast.
Outlook for severe weather marginal, meaning there is a chance we get an isolated storm this afternoon that could produce some heavy rain and gusty winds, but the dynamics just not there for widespread severe, but still on our toes. Could be some strong winds and hail with some of the storms, potentially an isolated tornado. 70 degrees, showers and thunderstorms will end tonight, giving us a clearing sky as we go through tomorrow. Colder weather with highs in the low 40s. I'm meteorologist Ray Stajic from the Weather Channel, WIBX 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
53 degrees under cloudy skies. I'm Megan Stone.
Wouldn't it be nice if tomorrow was today? Does that make sense? If tomorrow's weather were like today's, because tomorrow is the 1st of April, which means it is the first day of trout season, which is a big deal up here. And we're looking at, I don't know where, so I know Wayne, it'll be interesting to see where Wayne is going to be going, although he probably won't tell us. However, April 1st is a big day for him. To go out, and it's going to be probably around this time tomorrow about 33, 34 degrees. And we're not expected to get much higher than that, maybe up to around 38, 39 degrees tomorrow. But it's a cooler day. But tomorrow will be the first day of fishing season. We will speak with Ray Stajic coming up in a second. Stand by for that. It is 6:43 at WIBX.
BME Company Business Machines and Equipment has been delivering office solutions for businesses in upstate New York for over 30 years. Their success comes from finding the right document management strategies and software solutions for streamlining workflows. Simply put, BME provides fast, reliable service at the best value to keep your business running smoothly. Through BME's strategic partnership with Hummel's Office Plus, they distribute supplies for just about every machine in your office at a great price. BME welcomes the opportunity to serve your business, selling, leasing, and service in Canon and Kyocera devices, as well as FP mailing solutions. An important part of BME's culture is supporting the communities they're fortunate to work in, and BME recognizes that support is one reason for their success. The future of business in BME's area is encouraging, and the company is grateful to be a part of that growth. Call BME Company at 315-574-8200 or visit bmecompany.com. BME Company Office Solutions. Made simple.
Easy Cater is the smarter, simpler way to order food for your workplace. With easy online ordering, search filters for budget, dietary needs, and more. Save your favorite restaurants and favorite orders for easy reordering. Save time with group ordering. You send a link, your team orders what they want. Plus, Easy Cater makes expense reporting a snap with all your receipts in one place. Easy Cater, more than just a way to order catering for work, it's your business tool for food. Order now at easycater.com.
It's tax season. By now, we're all a bit tired of numbers, but here's one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now, here's a good number, $100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed. Save up to 40% in your first year with promo code CLAY. Visit LifeLock.com. That's LifeLock.com, promo code CLAY. Terms apply.
WIBX. This is Keeler. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM. Now back to the Keeler Show.
Okay, let's bring in Ray Stajic here this morning on this weather. It does look like there might be a chance of a thunderstorm or two, and I don't know, Ray, it looks like maybe a little sunshine today, then a little rain, some clouds, one of those days.
Yeah, one of those days. Changeable. You get into in really late March and into April. I call it kind of the months of change. You can get anything, right? Yeah. Even through mid-April. And, hold that thought. But that's for another day, another time.
Right.
But, yes, you kind of mentioned it there with the mention of maybe some severe weather. This really does not look like it's going to be widespread across, northern New York State, Adirondacks, through the Mohawk Valley, Capital District, maybe a slightly better chance, but as you go further south and southeast, a little better chance of some severe storms. So, there's a risk that a couple of these thunder showers that come through later this morning into this afternoon get warned on. Yeah, but it's not going to be widespread. So I think the tornado risk is low, if anything, Bill. Maybe some isolated areas get some gusty winds, small hail, maybe a little heavy rainfall, but really a better risk as you get into eastern PA and the Poconos and down across the southern tier.
However, it is going to warm up a little bit. That'll be pleasant, I think, for today.
Yeah, it will, as temperatures from 24 hours ago are 15 to 25 degrees milder than we were yesterday at this time. Today's 70, but then, as I said, be careful what you wish for, right?
Right.
Barely above 40 tomorrow, and then Wednesday, Thursday, looks like some chilly air around, or cooler weather goes back to milder weather. As Wednesday, maybe some wet snowflakes in some spots, especially up in the hills country. And then Thursday, we're back to 70 degrees. And then over the weekend, we're back in the 50s. So crazy over the next few days up and down with temperatures. We got that small severe risk today, but, it's still what? Now, April 1st tomorrow?
April 1st tomorrow. It's going to be, there'll be maybe even a few snow showers or something. I don't know tomorrow, but it'll be cold enough for it in the morning.
Yeah, it will.
People go out fishing for the first first day of trout season here in New York. And are we right on are we on the edge of the jet stream? Is that I know very little about this, but I try to figure it out in my head. It does seem like the other day, Saturday, it was over 80 degrees in New York. But as you came upstate, it was cooler. I'm assuming that
40 degrees cooler.
That has something to do with the jet stream.
Well, just the position. Yeah, the jet stream really drives the air masses, and when you see these big temperature changes, as you had said, I was kind of looking at it. I was like, wow, it was snowing in northern New York State. It was like 80 in New York City. I was like, that's pretty crazy. So, little push of some warmer air to the south, and that boundary kind of cut the state right in half. And kind of crazy weather, but it's that time of year you can see these big temperature differences from just going a couple 10 miles or even a couple 100 miles from northern New York State to southern New York State too.
And with that said, and I know you said it could be for another day or another story, but the reality, I mean, we've had, we love to talk about the great Mother's Day snowstorm. So anything can happen.
Day, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Mom, I hope she was listening.
Yeah.
Yes. And listen, next week, there's a couple opportunities toward the early part of next week. I'm looking at the America model right now of a bigger push of colder air coming in and maybe some light accumulating snowfall, small chances about the Monday, Tuesday time frame. As if you look at the monthly or the 6 to 10 day outlook for temperatures, it's kind of the northeast New England's in this little quadrant of at or below normal temperatures. So does that mean precipitation is going to be frozen? Not necessarily, but in the case coming early next week, almost like a clipper type system trying to swing through and bringing maybe a little bit of snow back before we start to see hopefully some milder weather as we get into the second week of the month.
I'm glad we're not Vermont. Vermont got iced out.
Yeah, the ice could have been worse. Again, you get into the beginning of winter and toward the tail end of winter, that's when we really run the greater risks of freezing rain or ice. Don't see any of that now. Hopefully we're done with that for the season and maybe until next winter.
Mike this morning says, I still have one little patch of snow near my garage that never gets a lot of sun. I'm assuming maybe after today it'll be gone. So
it will. Hopefully we won't make any more snowbanks or wing rows on the roadways. We're just about done. I hope everybody's just about had enough of that.
I think we have. There's no doubt about it. All right, Ray, as always, thank you for the insight. All right.
Yep.
Have a great day.
You too.
Ray Stajic with the Weather Channel. Love having Ray back on the radio. That was he was when I first came here. Ray was on, and then I don't know. They decided something happened and some contract dispute, nothing to do with him, and they were able to renegotiate and get it back on. Pretty cool.
Yeah, but now he's back, and I appreciate that he's able to give us some insight about what's coming up because. The weather alerts are always shifting. Like between when I got into the studio and prepared the news for today, Dave Wheeler from our sister station came up and said, they removed that hazardous weather outlook. So these reports are changing like that. So when we have someone like Ray who could read the tea leaves and is that reliable, he's an asset.
No doubt. Richard this morning is very bothered. I got to find him here. Richard, very bothered by the stock values for Wolfspeed and Danfoss. If I can find it here. Here we go. This is Richard. Better do a little research on this. Dead company. He says it's dead. As I said before, stock dropped from $140 to $8 and now dropped from $8 to $2 a share. Unfortunately, this company is dead. Its technology is old and not needed, but our leaders got fooled again on this company. Danfoss is another deadbeat company, says Richard. I do think that right now you're dealing any of the car battery thing that everybody thought was going to be a big deal. There is a shortage of buyers right now. And a lot of that has to do with the change in administration. So they've taken back a lot of those incentives, those tax breaks in order to get an electric vehicle. I find that interesting too, because Elon Musk is where Elon Musk is. It doesn't certainly help his company.
Before Tesla was seen as the most progressive car, like more than a Toyota Prius. If you remember, they were on the streets everywhere a few years back. Yeah. And now it's this identity crisis of if some people really believe that the car you drive speaks about the person you are.
I wonder if Trump is going to forbid the meteorologists from using the European model for weather forecasting.
There's a tariff on it.
Or do we begin calling it American Model 2? I don't know. Mike, good question. As for Wolfspeed, listen, it is what it is. We'll see where it all goes.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we would want that company to
we want them to succeed. Absolutely.
To do very well.
Yeah, and the stock market is in a bit of turmoil. I mean, on Friday, Dow Jones was down over 700 points. The S&P 500 fell close to 500 points. So there is a lot of uncertainty and volatility within the stock market. So it'll be interesting to see. But I have faith in Wolfspeed. They're rocking and rolling. So if their shares are really at $2, Go buy
Well,
a
Richard's
couple.
going to hate you now, so you better stop.
All right. Sorry, Richard.
Hooters is making a bit of a comeback. My wife the other day was like, there wasn't a Hooters at Destiny USA, and I said, well, I'm pretty sure there was, but I know who can help me confirm it. Davey, was there a Hooters at Carousel?
Yes, there was years ago.
Yeah,
and the nearest one right now is on Wolf Road in Albany.
When was
Because I have been there.
You have been there.
It's right after you pull out of the Colony Center Mall, go down about a mile, and it's right there on Wolf Road, right near the airport.
Davey's name is carved into one of the tables.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. They're making a bit of a, believe it or not, to avoid bankruptcy, they're making Hooters a little more family friendly. Their CEO says they are re-Hooterizing. Changes will include fresher ingredients, faster service, smaller breasts, and sorry, and I somehow thought that was there, but it's not.
You mean?
And a change to their famous uniform. So I think the uniform will end up being a little more on the conservative side.
There you go.
Well,
So
the one in Albany is not affiliated with the national chain. That's independently owned.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Which is probably why they're doing okay.
Well, a lot of Hooters are shutting down. That's why.
Yes.
Like the one in Albany, like
that's
I said,
what this story
is
is about.
independently operated.
Morgan Wallen was the musical guest on SNL. And you're a country guy. What happened here?
Apparently, he walked off the set during the closing for one. I didn't watch it. Apparently, from what I read,
I didn't see it either.
He apparently walked off during the closing, during the credits
It was
or something.
a big no-no. Apparently, he had been doing it all week, and he just did what he wanted to do. Before the credits rolled, he was out of there.
And really, literally exited the building. So
he's a hot country artist right now.
Today is National Crayon Day.
There you go.
Okay. Macon, Georgia went for a kazoo world record on Friday. Does anybody care? 1,780 people turned out to break the record for the largest kazoo ensemble, but unfortunately, it was not enough. As I read this story, I'm thinking, who would really care? And I have to say, that's what the people in Georgia and Macon, Georgia were saying. Who really cares? Only 1,780 people turned out to break the record. The original record was set in 2011 when I think times were different. I think there's a lot of stuff going on right now, and people are like, look at the world. I mean, I can't be worried about a kazoo. 5,190 people broke the record in 2011 in London, which is where the
simpler
record
times
is
back then.
currently held. A lawyer in Texas is going viral for claiming you can get a DUI from too much caffeine. He said he has consulted RFK Jr. A California man got charged for it in 2015. It's eventually dropped the charge because they couldn't prove how much he had in his system. But yes, according to this attorney, by having too much coffee, you could end up with a DWI. Here's audio.
It's a DWI, meaning driving while intoxicated. That intoxicated portion can be alcohol. Now, other substances, including caffeine. Now, let's be honest, we don't see that happen. Somebody has too much caffeine, DWI, but it's a good example of it can be any other substance, meaning it doesn't have to be illegal, it doesn't have to be prescribed or prescribed to somebody else, nothing like that. That impairs or intoxicates you, you can be arrested for DWI.
A New Jersey mayor was arrested for drunk driving while her son was in the car with her on the afternoon of St. Patrick's Day. Here's some of the body cam footage when the mayor of Lumberton, New Jersey, was arrested.
You're in a red light, you're swerving.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What happened in the mirror here?
Since your blood alcohol level was so high, we have to take you to the hospital. So
they ended up taking her to the hospital, and that story has made national news. We have news coming up top of the hour. It is 6:57 at WIBX.
It's hard to know what to do when you lose a loved one. You need someone you can trust to help you navigate all the options. Mohawk Valley Monuments has been providing comfort and delivering quality memorials in our community for over 95 years. Mohawk Valley Monuments has experience with all the local cemeteries, from simple grave markings to intricate family mausoleums. For personalized service, call us today at 315-724-7629 or visit us at mohawkvalleymonuments.com.
Hi, everyone. everybody. I'm Jose Lopez from the band Showtime.
I'm Justin from the band Showtime. We'll be the house band on May 10th at the Rome Capitol Theater during CNY On Stage Live.
It'll be a wonderful event full of great acts,
dancers, comedians, and singers.
And you could be one of those singers fronting the band Showtime on the Capitol stage.
Complete details at RomeCapitol.com.
Are you ready to sing in the spotlight on the Capitol stage with Showtime?
We'll see you there.
Dear me, I'm you writing from your future. I know that you're hesitant to get care for your heart. But when you visit the St. Joseph's Health Cardiovascular Institute, you'll receive a higher level of care. Their team of highly skilled doctors, nurses, and specialists provides comprehensive heart care and quicker recovery times, giving you the best possible outcomes. Go to sjhsyr.org/CVI to get started. Don't wait. Get back to the life you love.
People with diabetes or prediabetes measure blood sugar to make informed decisions about diet and medications. Continuous glucose monitoring devices, or CGMs, measure blood sugar through a wearable skin sensor that transmits data to an app, insulin pump, or receiver. Continuous monitoring? No finger stick required. Kinney pharmacies accept most insurance for CGMs, and big news, now Medicare Part B too. If you have a prescription for a CGM...
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX Utica, Rome. W295EI, WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM, a Town Square media station.
He says he'll target all countries. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, on what President Trump calls Liberation Day, Wednesday, when reciprocal tariffs go into effect on countries that have levies on American exports.
They will be kinder than those countries were to the United States of America over the decades.
The president also says new U.S. tariffs on foreign cars and auto parts will mean
people that manufacture automobiles in the United States are going to make money the likes of which they've never seen before.
On Air Force One flying back to Washington, the president also again suggested that people want him to run for a third term. And though the Constitution only allows two, he told NBC there are methods to allow it. And as Fox's Madeline Rivera reports, he also discussed the war in Ukraine that he's trying to end.
President Trump is criticizing both Russia and Ukraine. The president saying he would consider imposing secondary tariffs on Russia if he believes it were at fault for not reaching a ceasefire deal in Ukraine. This comes after Russian President Vladimir Putin called for a transitional government to replace Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. But the president is also criticizing Zelensky, who he says is now trying to reverse course on a rare minerals deal.
If he's looking to renegotiate the deal, he's got big problems.
Nearly a week after 4 American soldiers went missing during training in Lithuania, still no sign of them.
But rescue workers at a military training area in Lithuania have managed to haul the M88 Hercules armored vehicle out of the peat bog. The Lithuanian Defense Ministry says military police and U.S. investigators are still at the site. Poland's been helping out too, sending scuba divers and equipment to assist in the search.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. In Burma, it's up to more than 1,700 people now dead in the earthquake disaster there. In France, conservative leader Marine Le Pen's been barred from seeking public office after being convicted today of embezzling European money along with other members of her political party. They and Le Pen face up to 10 years in prison. America's listening to Fox News.
You've likely heard about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too, with their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. An easy, affordable way to see how it could literally change your life. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally, developed by doctors. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. Trying it couldn't be easier with their 3-week quick start for only $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call. 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're having pain, every day you feel better is a day you live better. Try Relief Factor's 3-week quick start today. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
President Trump keeps calling the investigation into the Signal group chat breach fake news, and he won't fire anyone involved in the discussion that mistakenly included a journalist. He says the military operation that killed Houthi militants in Yemen was successful, targeting the rebels who've been disrupting global shipping.
Jeffrey Goldberg said on NBC's Meet the Press there was no subterfuge that led National Security Advisor Mike Waltz to add him to a Signal group chat that shared attack plans against Houthis in Yemen.
My number was in his phone. He mistakenly added me to the group chat. There we go.
Goldberg added that post-chat criticism of him and his outlet was expected, and as he said, part of a playbook.
When they do something wrong, they go on the attack, and they attack the messenger.
Gernal Scott, Fox News.
On Wall Street, the selling may continue as markets also drop in Asia and Europe over tariff concerns. Dow futures down more than 200 points before the last trading day of what's been a very negative March. The Final Four is set in the men's college basketball tournament after Auburn and Houston won.
For just the second time since the NCAA men's basketball tournament expanded to 64 teams in 1985, all four number one seeds will collide in the Final Four. In 2008, North Carolina, UCLA, Kansas, and Memphis did it. This year, it's Auburn, Houston, Duke, and Florida. Duke has the most Final Four trips of the group with 18, but this is the first time the five-time champions have gone this far since Mike Krzyzewski retired in 2022. Florida won its only two national titles back-to-back in 2006 and 2007. This is the Gators' sixth trip to the Final Four. Houston is in its seventh Final Four. Auburn heads to its second, but neither of those schools has ever won the national title. It'll be Houston versus Duke and Auburn versus Florida in the semifinals on Saturday. I'm Tim McMaster, Fox News.
In the women's NCAA tournament, top seeds South Carolina and UCLA won to advance to the Final Four, which will be set after two more games tonight. I'm Dave Anthony, and this is Fox News.
Good morning. WIBX 950 AM 92.3 FM news time is 7:05. I'm Megan Stone. It is 53 degrees and cloudy outside. Your full weather forecast is coming up next. A Herkimer man was arrested and held on $50,000 cash bail for sexually assaulting a child. The Herkimer Police Department says authorities arrested 46-year-old Ronald Nichols, who is a level 2 sex offender, following a lengthy investigation. The charges stem from a 2023 incident where Nichols was accused of raping a female child under the age of 13. A grand jury charged Nichols with rape in the third degree, which is a Class B felony, and endangering the welfare of a child. Nichols was remanded to Herkimer County Correctional Facility on $50,000 cash bond, $150,000 bond, or $300,000 surety bond. Excuse me. Severe weather is threatening large swaths of the country today. Strong storms, hail, and tornadoes are possible for the East Coast. Central New York, as well as the Hudson Valley and the southern tier, are most likely in New York to see the strongest of the storms. They could bring flash flooding and whipping winds and even an isolated tornado, possibly. The stronger storms are expected around 4 p.m. New York lawmakers are voicing their concerns over the Trump administration's plans to cut back on Social Security. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand says the federal government plans to cut 7,000 staff members and close dozens of Social Security offices, concerned for the more than 4 million New Yorkers who rely on Social Security benefits. Gillibrand is asking for detailed information about dozens of Social Security Administration's offices that have had leases terminated, including 2 in New York, along with plans to cut over the phone service. She says Social Security phone service is already in disarray, which has sparked fear for people who don't have access to internet or cannot physically travel to a Social Security office. And the deadline to reach an on-time state budget is tomorrow, but the halls of the Capitol building in Albany will be quiet today. Lawmakers aren't going to have their next session until tomorrow due to the Eid Mubarak holiday. There are still a number of issues that need to be hammered out before a final deal is reached, such as restrictions on mask wearing, cell phone use in schools, and changes to discovery laws. It's likely a budget extender will have to be passed to ensure the state can pay its bills. Your WIBX news time is 7:07. Here is your full weather forecast.
Outlook for severe weather marginal, meaning there is a chance we get an isolated storm this afternoon that could produce some heavy rain and gusty winds, but the dynamics just not there for widespread severe, but still on our toes. Could be some strong winds and hail with some of the storms, potentially an isolated tornado. 70 degrees, showers and thunderstorms will end tonight, giving us a clearing sky as we go through tomorrow. Colder weather with highs in the low 40s. I'm meteorologist Ray Stidgick from the Weather Channel, WIBX 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
53 degrees and cloudy outside. In sports, the Final Four of the NCAA men's basketball tournament is set. All 4 number 1 seeds have made the Final Four for the first time since 2008. One on side of the bracket, Auburn will face Florida in an SEC battle for the top spot in the national championship. On the other, Duke will face Houston in a matchup between two programs that are no strangers in the Final Four. The two games will be played Saturday in San Antonio. The winners then go head-to-head for the national title next Monday. Former Cicero North Syracuse High School hoop star Breanna Stewart is staying with the reigning WNBA champs, the New York Liberty, who are coming off their first league title in franchise history. Stewart averaged just over 20 points per game for the Liberty last season and is also a two-time WNBA Most Valuable Player and three-time Olympic gold medalist. The Yankees continued their hot start to the season after blowing out the Brewers 12-3 to sweep the series at Yankee Stadium. Aaron Judge went deep with a two-run bomb. Jazz Chisholm Jr. slugged a pair of homers, and Ben Rice also went deep. The Yanks lead the AL East by one game. They host the Diamondbacks for a three-game set beginning tomorrow. The Mets continue their six-game road trip to start the season. New York hoping to bounce back from its series loss to the Astros when it visits the Marlins for a three-game set that begins tonight. Denny Hamlin is celebrating his first Martinsville Speedway victory in a decade after winning the Cookout 400. The driver of the number 11 car led 274 out of 400 laps to finish in first. While Christopher Bell, Bubba Wallace, Chase Elliott, and Kyle Larson rounded out the top five. The NASCAR Cup Series heads to Darlington for the Goodyear 400 next Sunday, and Min-Woo Lee celebrating a tour victory for the first time in his career. Lee won the Texas Children's Houston Open after shooting a 3 under 67 in the final round to finish atop the leaderboard at 20 under par. Gary Woodland and Scotty Scheffler finished tied for second at 19 under par. Defending champion Stefan Jaeger finished tied with four players for 11th at 12 under par. Your WIBX news time is 7:10. I'm Megan Stone.
You should add the Pioneers score. 2-1. They lose in overtime in the first overtime last night. Taking the runner-up spot in the national championship, I can't remember the name now. It was a late night last night.
Hofstra?
Hobart.
Thank you, Davey. Hobart winning their third straight NCAA Division III men's hockey championship. What a game it was. If you were at that game, you know what I'm talking about. It was one of the most intense games I think I've ever seen in hockey. It at times was just nuts with the offense and the defense. I mean, it just the attacks and the great job by really both goalies. And unfortunately, at home we fall 2-1 in the first overtime with just maybe a minute and a half left. I think it was like a minute 46
so
left
close.
in that game. So 2-1 final score. Hobart defeating Utica last night in the national championship game of the Frozen Four. So how do we pronounce this holiday today? If people are asking, it's Eid al-Fitr, and it is an Islamic, I'm assuming, holiday. New York City schools are closed. New York State recognizes it. However, I think our schools are not recognizing the holiday.
Utica's
here.
closed today.
Utica is closed. All right. I'm pretty sure my wife has to go to school, but.
Well, I'm friends with a Utica school teacher, and we hung out with him yesterday. He said he has no school because they're celebrating the Ramadan holiday.
This holiday.
This is when they break their fast.
There is mail delivery today. However, today is a regular weekday for the U.S. Postal Service, so you'll get your mail. Your banks are open. This is not a federal holiday, but it is recognized in New York State. So you may have state facilities that'll be closed, but your federal facilities will end up being open. What do you have for me? You're going to have to reset this thing here, Davey, because I can't see up here.
I reset it on my end. I don't know about you.
I guess I'll figure out
I'll reset it after the break. How about that?
It's Mike in Utica.
Let me take Mike. Hi, Mike. Good morning.
Hey, yeah, we don't know about you, Bill. What's going on? I wanted to talk a little, just briefly about with the games. They couldn't believe all those freaking runs. Yankees had like 30 runs over the last three games.
Yeah.
With all those home runs. Now, what's funny is I didn't realize, but yesterday did you hear about with the torpedo bats that some batters were using?
So I'm wondering what the who is everybody using these bats? Are all teams? No,
not everybody. Not every ball, even on the Yankees, not everybody is using on the Yankees. I think they said only 5 or 6 people were using them.
Okay.
But and so the first thing they were saying was well, Judge is not using it, right? Because Judge had 3 home runs, right?
Yeah.
And he's not using the bat. But then I'm thinking about
he hit one yesterday.
The thing is, what?
He hit one yesterday.
He hit a home run yesterday.
No.
Yeah, he's not saying he's not hitting home runs.
He's not using the torpedo bat.
Right.
He's just using his regular bat.
So who makes the
He's
torpedo
not
bat? I don't
1-on-1.
know anything about this because the Mets bats have been actually
I'm not sure who makes
submarines.
It. Someone on the I think they hired I can't think of someone that works. I don't know if he's on the Yankees, but they sort of designed. But all they did was move the weight on the thing. It's not like they didn't enhance anything.
Yeah,
but they just moved it. So pitchers.
Well, but I mean that could at some point you're going to have to look into it. Is it creating an advantage that other teams don't have? And do we want this to be a year where all of a sudden teams are hitting 9 home runs on Saturday? I mean that's just crazy.
Here's the thing: Major League Baseball, it's approved. It's not like illegal.
Well,
but,
that doesn't. I mean, Mike, you realize that doesn't mean anything, right? I mean, all of a sudden they're like, well, we did not realize, so now we're going to, I'm not saying they're using them illegally. I'm just saying that if it becomes an issue, I do think Major League Baseball is going to have to relook at them, right?
Yeah. But here's the thing, too, though. What's funny is, was the first thing somebody was saying to me, well, Judge is not using it. But here's the thing. Judge doesn't have to use it. All he has to do is get a strike, and he could turn it into a home run.
Mm-hmm.
But Chisholm is using it, and Chisholm bats right after Judge.
Right.
So you can't pitch around Judge. So ideally, if the person right after him is going to be hitting, you're going to have to throw straight to Judge and hope you strike him out.
Great point, because last year that was Judge's problem, right? Is they were he just couldn't get a pitch. Pete Alonso had the same issue. He could not get a pitch to hit, so he had to settle for singles and doubles all season long. Davey,
or walks.
It says
or walks. Yep.
It says
ideally, and I think one thing is good because number one, anyone can use them. So say the worst case scenario, say everyone starts using the torpedo bats. Well, now pitchers are going to have to start pitching. They can't pitch around certain people. They're going to have to pitch to everybody, and then they could just still adjust. I think they said too, because you're moving the weight, you move the weight of the bat to a different area where you're used to just getting them inside all the time. Well, now you're going to have to change that area where you're pitching the ball.
Right.
It's not like they have this big advantage. It's not like the bat is corked like the year of Sammy Sosa made the corked bat.
Well,
I
also find that with this the computerized strike zone, I think that plays that also puts pitchers in a different situation where you don't have that ump that allows the strike to come on the outside corner but not the inside corner. He's allowing a high strike, or you get to, especially the umps. Most times they are consistent, and you rely on that. But with a computerized strike zone, you won't be able to. Davey.
It says the bats.
Hold on, Mike. Hold on, Mike.
It says the bats which Major League Baseball confirmed are illegal are defined by non-traditional barrel which rests closer to the hitter's hand. Torpedo bats are designed with more wood and more mass.
Hold on. You got to go back because you said the word illegal. The bats are legal, right?
Yeah, are legal.
Legal. Okay.
The Major League Baseball confirms are legal.
Legal. Okay. You needed to put a little space in there.
Sorry about that.
Okay, Mike, I'll give you the final word here.
Oh yeah, and just when I was saying, during the spring training when they had, I love the when you can challenge the strikes and they have the computer, because the thing is, I believe that if you implement that in the real games, it's going to make the hitters better hitters, the pitchers better pitchers, and the umpires better umpires.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that you can't just get away with all the stuff, and it's. And I think, that too.
Well, do you? So it's not adopted in the regular season, right?
No, I don't think.
But
so.
I think they were playing with it in spring training and, of course, minor league baseball. It is interesting. You get a challenge, much like in football, where if a strike is way out there and it's not a strike, you have so many challenges that you can take advantage of. So That could be a way of doing
it's
it.
An inch and a half. I think
Yeah.
it's like when the computerized is going, if it's an inch and a half off, then they're going to win the challenge. If they call the other one, I think that's what it is.
But that is not in play in Major League Baseball right now.
No, not yet.
All right. Okay, listen, there's no denying the Yankees scored a lot of runs in their first,
They
3 or 4
almost
games.
broke,
It's incredible.
9 home runs in one game. That was a franchise record. They were one away from a Major League record.
Pretty
which
spectacular.
Toronto had.
And maybe these torpedo bats are the one common denominator. I guess we'll find out as time goes on. Okay, Mike, thanks, man.
You're welcome.
All right.
You take care.
Heard from a teacher this morning. Donna says, yep, I am going to school. So Utica, as you said, Davey, is off. So there must be a lot of population in their district that are celebrating, and but other schools are not. As we said, full mail service today despite the holiday. Quick break. We'll come back. Coming up, Hobica's free money question of the day happens at 7:35. We'll start off at, I believe you're going to go with to start
150.
150. All right. I didn't think you'd go that high. $150 on the line. We'll do that coming up at 7:35.
Now through March 31st, get up to $160 back on a Bridgestone prepaid MasterCard when you use your Tallman's card from CFNA. Whether you're in Utica, Yorkville, Rome, or Herkimer, their team of professionals is ready to serve you. Schedule your appointment today online at TallmansTire.com. Tallman's Tire and Auto Repair. Get the best tires for your vehicle at unbeatable prices guaranteed. Subject to credit approval, restrictions apply. See dealer or BridgestoneRewards.com for details.
Mattress Express's closeout sale on brand new leftover inventory and floor models. Right now, buy a king or queen and get a free adjustable base. Take up to 5 years to pay with no money down for qualified buyers and no credit check payment plans available as well.
Do it old school with Heritage Logging and Tree Removal, the area's go-to land clearing company. They specialize in tree removal, land clearing, stump grinding, and more. For your free estimate, call 315-796-2941 or visit heritagelogging.com.
Every once in a while, something that sounds too good to be true is actually, in fact, true. How would you like up to $4,000 of free windows? And when I say $4,000 of free windows, I mean $4,000 of free windows. No gimmicks or games. You don't have to buy $4,000 to get $4,000 free. You just get up to $4,000 of free windows through Patriot Home Solutions and NYSERDA. Of course, some restrictions apply, but none of these restrictions are income-based, and you don't have to sit through a long, drawn-out sales presentation. Give Patriot a call at 315-401-0440, and they can quickly tell you over the phone if you qualify or how you can get qualified. That's 315-401-0440. These aren't any windows. They're high-quality, custom-fitted windows designed to save energy and keep the cold air out all winter. Your window solution is Patriot Home Solutions. Online at patriothomesolutions.com.
David was in big trouble with the IRS.
At first, I didn't owe that much, but after this year, it was out of control.
Then David called Get a Tax Lawyer.
Right away, they were like, oh yeah, looks like you're qualified to save.
Get a Tax Lawyer went to work.
Should have called way sooner.
Get a Tax Lawyer has helped thousands like David fight the IRS and get a fresh start.
Call 800-745-3070. That's 800-745-3070.
EasyCater is the smarter, simpler way to order food for your workplace. With easy online ordering, search filters for budget, dietary needs, and more. Save your favorite restaurants and favorite orders for easy reordering. Save time with group ordering. You send a link, your team orders what they want. Plus, EasyCater makes expense reporting a snap with all your receipts in one place. EasyCater, more than just a way to order catering for work, it's your business tool for food. Order now at easycater.com.
BME Company Business Machines and Equipment has been delivering office solutions for businesses in upstate New York for over 30 years. Their success comes from finding the right document management strategies and software solutions for streamlining workflows. Simply put, BME provides fast, reliable service at the best value to keep your business running smoothly. Through BME's strategic partnership with Hummel's Office Plus, they distribute supplies for just about every machine in your office at a great price. BME welcomes the opportunity to serve your business, selling, leasing, and servicing Canon and Kyocera devices, as well as FP mailing solutions. An important part of BME's culture is supporting the communities they're fortunate to work in, and BME recognizes that support is one reason for their success. The future of business in BME's area is encouraging, and the company is grateful to be a part of that growth. Call BME Company at 315-574-8200 or visit BMEcompany.com. BME Company Office Solutions. Made simple.
Before there was social media, streaming, and even color television, there was radio. Remember the golden days when you had to tune in to hear what happened to Hopalong Cassidy, or perhaps the Green Hornet? What if you could relive those days again? Hi, I'm Greg Bell, the host of When Radio Was, a show that's dedicated to the very best of radio's golden age. From classic performances by Jack Benny to tales of terror on Lights Out. It's all here on When Radio Was, starting every Sunday at 11 p.m., only on WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM. Which classic broadcast will you hear next?
WIBX.
This is Keeler.
WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM. Now back to the Keeler Show.
I got a great classic rock story if you want one.
All right.
If you prefer your classic rock bands with original members, sometimes that's kind of hard to find. I guess not so much as the classic rock, but, look at the Beach Boys. Anything that was really big in the 60s is no longer, the authentic band that you would prefer, I assume. Anyway, Randy Bachman and Fred Turner released a new Bachman-Turner Overdrive song called 60 Years Ago. Randy says it's a thank you to Winnipeg, the city that shaped us. The song also features fellow Canadian Neil Young on the guitar. Here's a little piece of it as to what the song 60 Years Ago sounds like.
60 years ago, summers were hot, those winters were cold. 60 years ago, so good, it never got old. So damn cold, and so much snow. We stayed inside, we rocked and rolled. 60 years ago, learning to play rock and roll.
You remember when, what was it? Roy Orbison and Tom Petty and what was their group? Do you remember the Davey? Do you remember the group? Tom Petty and Roy Orbison and all those guys.
Traveling Wilburys?
The Wilburys.
Yeah.
So they came out with an album. These were older artists that have been around. That album was amazing. This
sounds like AI wrote it.
Not so much. I'm not sure that AI wrote it, but the singing is just, I don't know. For me, anyway. Their Back in Overdrive tour begins tomorrow night in Victoria, British Columbia. They'll hit the U.S. in July. Randy also says he and Burton Cummings are planning a Guess Who tour in 2026. It'll include a set list of about 30 songs and will probably be 2 or 3 hours long, calling it a Springsteen kind of marathonic show. And that'll be in 2026. So there's your classic rock news.
There you go.
I just
3 hours.
I just don't know about that song. We'll see. Bill Morehouse this morning. Aaron Lenhart is the guy who made the bats allow the Yankees to cheat. Thank you, Bill. Judge got pitched around last year and still ended up with 58 home runs worth of pitching around. If you remember, it was that time where Judge was just cold.
Slugging.
Nothing was happening. No hits. He was not only was he not hitting home runs, he wasn't hitting the ball. But then that changed, and his bat came alive. But Pete Alonso had the same issue where, once you're known as a home run hitter, I do think they pitch around you. And I think he did a good job of at least making contact or walking. And Bill says, let's face it, as Mets fans, we've known forever. Are you ready for this?
Yep.
Davey, as Mets fans, we've known forever the Yankees are cheaters.
Okay.
Are you all right with that? Or you want to respond to Mr. Morehouse?
I will not respond to Mr. Morehouse because I like Bill.
Okay, all right.
And I will not say anything.
All right, but you don't like what he said, do you?
No.
Deep down, I mean, it's got to really bother you. Let's see. A couple of other stories that are worth. Did you see the plane at the Reagan National Airport that ended up hitting something? In the beginning, they said they weren't sure what it was. What in the hell is someone flying a kite near Reagan International Airport for? Why would that be allowed? A kite ended up hitting a plane landing at Reagan National Airport in Virginia this weekend. Here is some of the audio from the air traffic control along with eyewitnesses talking about exactly what happened. Here we go.
United 654, do you recall any of those the details about the kite, whether it was over the park, how high was it?
It was over the park, about 100 feet over the ground. It looked like it's right on the flight deck. These guys are a little bit low. They probably run right into it.
And that plane came in contact with the kite as it was descending into land. We saw the kite kind of come down and sort of get tangled, if you will, at the wing area.
Oh, my gosh. That's an expensive kite flying day.
Apparently, the park near the airport where the kite was being flown, there is a rule there, no kites are allowed. But apparently, nobody was listening. Idaho's governor signed a bill into law that criminalizes the public exposure of breasts, male breasts altered to look like female breasts, artificial breasts, and toys or products that resemble genitals, like those things you dangle from the back of your truck that look like testicles. Here is the Idaho legislature debating the bill. Here we go.
I've also heard an argument about this bill saying, well, it could penalize people who put certain things on their trailer hitches. I don't think we need to go into that, but there's certain things people put on their trucks that look like part of a male anatomy.
They call them truck nuts. They're gross, they're offensive, and kids on the road see them. So why wouldn't the police get a call and say, that offends me, pull it off the truck? Because now this bill will allow it.
Oh, so they're going to neuter trucks now.
This is Idaho. Can people just take a deep breath? Not everything. Listen, here you may have a sign on the back of your truck that says F Biden. We saw that. Yep. And then maybe today there are some Trump haters who have an F Trump sign on the back of their truck. You see a lot of things. Sometimes a guy may have a kind of a naked woman on the back of, I'm assuming it's a guy, it could be a woman too, I guess, on the back window of a pickup truck. These things tend to happen a lot on trucks.
Yeah, freedom of expression, but I mean, I'm not a big fan of seeing those things on trucks.
But do you think there should be a law?
No, there shouldn't be. It just says a lot about the person who's driving the truck.
It certainly does. I also think it says a lot about Idaho right now. Man, there are so many things so many things in the world worth dealing with. Sometimes you got to let the small stuff go.
Maybe they were thinking it's a law that everybody can get behind.
I guess. Got a break. It is 7:31. And Megan will update the news. We'll do Davey's free money question of the day. Luke Perry is a political science professor at Utica University. We'll speak with him coming up as well. And by the way, Hopeika's free money this morning is worth $150. We'll get to that coming up after news.
Good morning. WIBX 950 AM 92.3 FM news time is 7:32. I'm Megan Stone. It is 54 degrees under cloudy skies. A Western man was arrested for violating the Sex Offender Registry Act. According to the Oneida County Sheriff's Office, 58-year-old Dwayne Kirk moved from his residence without informing officers. His move was only discovered when a sergeant visited his home and determined he no longer resided there. Following an investigation, it was found Kirk had been living in Constableville since December. Kirk was arrested after deputies found him in Lowville, and he was charged with failure to register change of address, which is a Class E felony. Kirk was arraigned and remanded to Oneida County Correctional Facility without bail. A new scam is hitting the area. This time, it's criminals pretending to be from the Office of Social Security. Rome police said scammers are impersonating government officials and claiming to victims their Social Security number was compromised. Some of these calls start with a person claiming to be from Amazon before transferring them to the fake authorities. These calls sometimes spoof the official FBI phone number with an area code 202. The victim will be instructed to withdraw funds from their bank account up to $50,000 to deposit them into a secure location. Rome police say officers will never make such a request and urge residents to hang up on these calls. A 75-year-old woman was found safe after vanishing from her Westmoreland home. The Oneida County Sheriff's Office said they received a missing persons report for Brenda Kelly, and authorities began searching for her. Police were able to find her using the unmanned aerial system unit in a wooded area about 3/4 of a mile behind a residence on State Route 233. Kelly was medically evaluated at the scene before being taken to Wynn Hospital for what authorities say were non-life-threatening injuries. And Central New York motorists are paying slightly less at the gas pump these days. AAA says the average cost for a gallon of regular fuel right now in the Utica-Rome area is $3.26. That's down a penny from yesterday and 3 cents lower than this time a month ago. Herkimer County has similar prices, but residents can save a little by fueling up in Madison County, which is averaging $3.19 a gallon. Meanwhile, the lowest prices in Central New York are in Onondaga County still, with an average of $3.07. Currently, the state average is sitting at $3.11, and nationally, it's $3.16. It is 7:34 right now. Here is your Weather Center forecast.
Outlook for severe weather marginal, meaning there is a chance we get an isolated storm this afternoon that could produce some heavy rain and gusty winds, but the dynamics just not there for widespread severe, but still on our toes. Could be some strong winds and hail with some of the storms, potentially an isolated tornado. 70 degrees, showers and thunderstorms will end tonight, giving us a clearing sky as we go through tomorrow. Colder weather with highs in the low 40s. I'm meteorologist Ray Stijic from the Weather Channel, WIBX 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
54 degrees under cloudy skies. I'm Megan Stone.
We're looking at $150 this morning in Hobica's free money question of the day. And Davey, you right now are looking for caller number what?
4.
Fourth caller. Caller 4, you get a shot at Hobica's money, $150. 315-736-0186 right now at WIBX.
Now through March 31st, get up to $120 back on a Firestone prepaid MasterCard when you use your Tallman's card from CFNA. Whether you're in Utica, Yorkville, Rome, or Herkimer, their team of professionals is ready to serve you. Schedule your appointment today online at tallmanstire.com. Tallman's Tire and Auto Repair. Get the best tires for your vehicle at unbeatable prices guaranteed. Subject to credit approval, restrictions apply. See dealer or firestonerewards.com for details.
It's tax season. By now, we're all a bit tired of numbers, but here's one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now, here's a good number, $100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed. Save up to 40% in your first year with promo code CLAY. Visit LifeLock.com. That's LifeLock.com, promo code CLAY. Terms apply.
Trust and Will knows that we'll all eventually need a will. How about right now? Trust and Will makes creating your will easy, like while you're lounging on the couch easy. Trust and Will is designed by attorneys but customized by you, and all documents are state-specific and secure. Find your plan at trustandwill.com and use offer code RADIO now for 20% off. That's trustandwill.com, offer code RADIO. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
The Potting Shed Antiques in Whitesboro is buying silver, gold, gold-filled, vintage costume, estate jewelry, and U.S. and Canadian coins. They've been your hometown buyer for over 50 years. While other gold and silver buyers claim to offer the highest prices, the Potting Shed Antiques actually delivers. Let Don Hartman take a look at your individual pieces or your entire collection. The Potting Shed Antiques, open Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Please call ahead for an appointment. Visit thepottingshedantiques.com.
WIBX.
This is Keeler.
WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
Now back to the Keeler Show.
All right, Hobica's free money question of the day. We do it every morning at this time, and it is worth today $150. The Hobica Law Firm, call them at 315-724 for 724-1600 for any of your local legal needs, or maybe they aren't local. Maybe your legal needs are well beyond local. Either way, whatever your legal needs are, call Joseph and Andrew Hobica at 315-724-1600. And I don't know how much I'm supposed to say, but I do want to extend a congratulations out to Joe Hobica for becoming a grandfather twice over in the last 2 weeks. I think it's the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Aw, congratulations.
So pretty wild. Okay, Roger is in Clayville, ready to take a shot at Hobica's free money question of the day. Roger, good morning.
Good morning. I also congratulate Mr. Hobica. That's very nice to hear.
And you know what would be great is if it almost sounds like you're testing for radiation somewhere.
Making popcorn?
Are you in a car or where are you? What are you doing?
Yes, I'm in a car.
Okay.
Is that the rain on your windshield?
A little bit. Why?
We're just hearing a noise. That's all right. Don't worry about it. All right. All right. So a great way for Hobica to celebrate grandfathership would be giving you money. Don't you think, Roger?
I agree 100%.
That would be great. All right. Okay. Here is your question. You have 7 seconds to answer it. 7 seconds for your answer, and here we go. Worth $150. John Coleman is famous for creating what on your television? Ready, go.
Multiple channels.
Multiple channels. Is it? Otherwise, we'd be sitting there just watching one channel. John Coleman created the Weather Channel.
Oh.
It kind of developed. It developed as time went on, but it ultimately became the Weather Channel. Which, you remember when the Weather Channel you couldn't get any local forecasts. It was just, they would
blanket.
Deal with the region and maybe the country. Now, of course, they're pinpointing it, and we have our man Ray Stajic from the Weather Channel. All right, John, we're going to give you a $25 gift card, good at any of the Comets games, Nexus, Aquavino, Taylor and the Cook, and the list goes on, all right?
Thank you.
All right, Roger, stand by. Hold on a second. Davey, you'll take care of him. Nice. Luke Perry is a professor of political science at Utica University, and he has authored several books on politics and in specifically the congressional districts here in the region. Luke Perry, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. You have to be busy with students and questions and wonderment about the world of politics right now.
For sure. I mean, my students are most interested in the fate of the Department of Education. I don't think most Americans realize that's the primary way that we fund higher education in this country. So a lot of the talk's been moving the power back to the states, which they already have a lot of in regards to education, but there's a lot of uncertainty there for students, which makes them very anxious.
Well, and the Department of Education, I think, handles so much. I think the average person, the layman, we probably don't realize all of what they do and think they do something that they don't. For instance, curriculum, and the Department of Education doesn't play a role in that.
That's correct. It's largely up to the states to decide their own curriculum and develop their own educational standards and a whole bunch of different pedagogical things. So it's not really the federal government that does most of that.
How much of the and what you would think in these upcoming special elections that are happening tomorrow in Florida, which you would think are in real Republican areas, but polling is showing these races might be closer. Probably Republicans will win, but they're certainly closer than anybody thought. Is how much of this is, listen, we want cuts, but you can cut their stuff, just don't cut mine.
Right. A lot of people like the idea, particularly on the conservative side of the spectrum, of reducing the size and scope of government but they don't like it when their own services or benefits get cut, or there's economic uncertainty that impacts their financial situation. So when we think about special elections, typically with a new presidency, they're viewed as barometers of how things are going. And so that's not unusual. I don't think Republicans will lose either one of these seats, but they're clearly worried, particularly about Mike Waltz's former seat there. And I do think that the news media can sometimes accentuate that these races are worth watching or particularly close when maybe it won't shake out that way.
Yeah.
I expect Republicans to lose a little ground in both these seats, and I think that's what you normally see with the new administration.
It was interesting to see the pulling of Elise Stefanik's ambassadorship.
Yeah, it's good for us because we retain a senior leader in Congress that could better direct resources to our area, but unfortunate for Representative Stefanik, who is planning to do something else for the next 4 years. But I think this reflects how Republicans, particularly in the House and the leadership, are concerned about their narrow majority. They're not taking anything for granted, and they want to keep as many seats as possible to try to further their legislative edge.
Listen, I thought I'd get actually, it's Mike who's saying you should ask Luke about the incredibly impressive Constantino surveys and polls that were done. We're talking about Anthony Constantino. Are you familiar with him and all of his commercials and any bit?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Apparently you're living under a rock, Luke, because everyone knows him. And
he knows everybody.
I'm being a little sarcastic. But if you could back me up on this, when he explained that he had commissioned polls, and these polls had him winning every poll that he commissioned, he won. In a race that wasn't a race yet, the candidates hadn't even been selected. This is really and he was the only one advertising, by the way. I had said simply that I have to question those polls because not only did he author the poll and played a role in what the questions were, but he paid for it. And oftentimes when someone pays for an inside poll, we have to look at that a little differently. Would you back me up on that, or am I off base as he says I am?
Generally speaking, yes. As an election scholar, I think there's two basic types of polls. There's third-party polls that largely seek to be objective. These are done by major polling organizations, universities that have polling institutes. And so those tend to be more valid and reliable than polls that are commissioned by political parties or candidates or campaigns, because the ones they release usually are ones where they are favorable for their particular cause, and there's different ways that you can accentuate turnout expectations to try to make things look as good as possible for you. So that second type of polls, sort of self-commissioned polls, generally are less valid and less reliable. But I can't speak to this situation.
Right. And I only wonder, Luke, do you think had I really said it the way you just said it, very eloquently, that maybe we would have had a different outcome? He would have listened to me and been like, well, that completely makes sense. I won't ask you to answer that because
Well, I always enjoy listening to you, so I don't have any criticism.
All right, well, I do appreciate that.
It was definitely a popcorn-worthy moment.
Luke, how it's very interesting to watch this interesting dance that is going on when it comes to it's almost like dipping the toe in the water to check the temperature when it comes to the administration listening to and following an order from a federal judge. So we have a couple of cases where, and I think we talked a while back, where this phrase constitutional crisis was being completely overused. Interestingly, by the way, you'll hear Democrats stopped using it. It was being used a lot. All of a sudden, you don't hear it anymore because the thought is that they were overusing the term, that if there was a situation where the president or the administration disobeyed, if you will, an order from a federal judge, that very well could be a constitutional crisis. But we do have two cases, or at least two right now, where they've come back and said, oh, we didn't get the order until after we'd shipped the person off, or we didn't. So I think there's kind of a testing of the water here right now. Your thoughts, and also the response by the Supreme Court, I think, has been quite interesting.
Well, I would say it's more than dipping a toe in the water. I think we've taken a polar plunge here with President Trump and his use of executive action, and that's not pejorative. I think all presidents this century, as we've had more divided government, meaning the House, the Senate, and the presidency are controlled by different parties, we've seen a greater use of executive action to try to get things done, particularly in this hyper-partisan era where neither side wants to work together. I think what we've seen from President Trump so far is an accelerated and extraordinary use of executive action like we haven't seen ever. So he's kind of redefining this tool that's been used, and he's using it more frequently and more deeply. So I think that's trying to reinterpret existing precedents. It's pushing legal limits. And this is an extraordinary moment. So how the courts respond, obviously they're the main line of checks and balances there. I know it's upset some conservatives, but that's their job to maintain the law and interpret it as Trump pushes the lines. And I think this battle with the judiciary is not good. I think whenever the courts make a ruling in any level of government, when the final word is in, the other parts of government need to abide by it, or we're going to have a dysfunction in our system that's going to create uncertainty and danger.
What do you say to someone, though, that says, well, we've almost created with these federal judges another part of government to the point where they have an advantage over the other forms, the other branches of government, that they are basically saying yes or no to policy. How would you respond to that?
I would say that each major part of our government, the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary branches, all have their own powers. And they're going to exercise their power as they're prescribed. And so it's the role of federal judges not to say yes or no to policy, like a thumbs up, thumbs down, whether it's good or bad for the country. That's not their prerogative. It's whether these actions, whether they're executive orders or whether they're laws, fit with existing laws. If you can't do something if you're the president that violates federal law or the U.S. Constitution. All citizens, from you and I, Bill, all the way up to the president in terms of power and government, have to abide by federal law and the U.S. Constitution. So I think the role of the federal courts of maintaining this is huge, because if we don't have our laws, then we don't have a stable political system, and that's where the uncertainty and the danger comes in.
And the danger is not just the current danger, right? The danger could be because it sets precedent for future presidents, for future administrations.
Yes, and I've lived and spent time in societies where laws get followed and enforced selectively, and it's a scary situation. I've been to Russia, for instance, right? These citizens there are scared of everyone in government because they could shake the citizens down at any time for a bribe. There's great uncertainty in terms of what Putin wants to do, and he can throw anybody in jail or kill them at any time. And so these are the things that happens in societies where you don't have stable rule of law. And fortunately in America, we've had that for a long period of time. And anything that endangers that, I don't think is in our best interest.
So I'm going to get down a very touchy road here. And I'll ask you this because I trust you. I feel like you can give us an answer that is scholarly and based on the Constitution, based on our history. So I almost feel that the Israeli-Gaza war, the Palestinian war, the whatever we want to call it, I feel like this has become something similar to McCarthyism, in that if someone protests the war, they must be an anti-Semite. You know where I'm going with this, and especially when it comes to college campuses. And another part of this is students who are here on a student visa. That's different. But can you dig into this just a little bit for us?
Well, I think our society is trying to wrestle with the collective meaning of anti-Semitism, generally speaking. I think that the basics of anti-Semitism we all agree on. I think some other actions like supporting a Palestinian state or picking a side on the conflict you referenced gets a little more dicey, and that's where we've seen the Trump administration weigh in. It's a difficult situation. I think one thing contextually that we can focus on for a moment is how we are Israel's biggest ally. We have been since the State of Israel was created. We've given them more money than any other country. And so we have this historic partnership with this country that obviously experienced a horrible attack and has been at war for some time. And to your larger point, the way I think about it, I think, within political science, there's a general idea that you can support the people of the country and not always agree with the policies of their government. And I think that's totally legitimate, and I think sometimes that gets swept up in concerns about anti-Semitism, which I also understand in the sense that this is a state that was created, obviously, for Jews. And so there are some who feel that if you're critical of the government, then you're critical of the whole idea.
Yeah.
So it's quite a complicated situation.
Speaking with Luke Perry, a professor of political science at Utica University. And then, isn't the president just doing what he has he's using leverage that others really haven't used as often, but have been used before. For instance, Ronald Reagan pushed new traffic safety laws by saying, you're either going to follow this or I'm pulling your funding. And in this case, the president is saying you're going to no longer give preference to a female over a male or a minority over a white American. And if you continue to do this, I'm just going to pull your funding. Hasn't he found a way to really implement his policy and do it using the executive powers that he has, basically the purse strings?
I think there's certainly a general precedent of doing this. The federal government has long induced states to behave in certain ways based on grant funding. So if they do certain things, then they get the money. If they don't do those things, they don't get the money. So that is certainly a dynamic in American government. One interesting sort of different thing about the Trump administration is trying to freeze or cut money that has already been allocated by Congress.
The Doge stuff,
significant legal disputes. But your larger point about regular funding or funding that is expected but hasn't been allocated is certainly a power move by the Trump presidency that we haven't seen, and I understand it. As the president stated, he's trying to best implement his agenda. I think what he's rubbing up against in some ways with what you referenced is the civil rights law. So he can withhold funding, but he can't do things in a way that violates people's civil rights. And again, that's where the courts come in and sort out what he can and can't do in that regard.
The last time we talked to you, you basically said that we talked about maybe the overuse of constitutional crisis, the term, and that you really it's more of a wait and see what happens. How do you feel today?
Well, today I'm not thinking about that as much, to be honest with you. I'm interested to see what happens with these tariffs that have been promised, and we've already had a number. I mean, from my view as an election scholar, one of the main considerations coming out of last election was the situation with the economy, and that was a boon for Trump. And these tariffs are not popular, and they're creating economic uncertainty, and still consumer prices are high, and people aren't happy with that. And it's really interesting to me. It seems like, you look at if you look through this weekend, even some of the comments the president's like, I don't care. Like, we're doing this, and we think it's in the country's best interest. And I'm particularly interested this week in seeing what the implications are and to the extent the American people are with him on this issue, because it does not seem like they are.
It is going to be interesting, and I feel like the more they get done now, the more things can settle and possibly improve by the time the midterms come around. But let's not forget, those midterms are this time next year. You're going to be hearing commercials. They're just around the corner, so Interesting.
Yeah, as you know, those campaigns are long. I think it's going to be a tough road for Republicans to retain both the House and the Senate. And I think we've already seen some of the senators, Republican senators, push back with the signal situation because they're already thinking around the bend of what this is looking like, and they're not happy in terms of their electoral situation.
Yeah. All right, it's going to be very, very interesting. Luke, I appreciate it as always. We'll do it again. And have a great rest of the week, or a great week, I guess, as we start off here on Monday.
Thanks so much. You too.
All right, thanks so much. Okay, coming up, we'll do news, top of the hour. Joe Rakowski was one of those NY21 congressional candidates. We'll speak with Joe coming up in just a little bit and see what he has to say on WIBX.
Trust and Will knows that we'll all eventually need a will. How about right now? Trust and Will makes creating your will easy, like while you're lounging on the couch easy. Trust and Will is designed by attorneys but customized by you, and all documents are state-specific and secure. Find your plan at trustandwill.com and use offer code RADIO now for 20% off. That's trustandwill.com, offer code RADIO. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
Mattress Express's closeout sale on brand new leftover inventory and floor models. Right now, buy a king or queen and get a free adjustable base. Take up to 5 years to pay with no money down for qualified buyers and no credit check payment plans available as well.
Coming Saturday, April 5th.
The Rome Capitol Theater presenting the Paragon Ragtime Orchestra in a pageant of American music, featuring theater organist David Peckham. The Paragon Ragtime Orchestra is the world's only year-round professional ensemble, recreating America's original music, the syncopated sounds of our country's popular music from the 1890s through the 1920s. Saturday, April 5th at 7 p.m. Tickets and information at romecapital.com.
Tickets on sale now.
Do it old school with Heritage Logging and Tree Removal, the area's go-to land clearing company. They specialize in tree removal, land clearing, stump grinding, and more. For your free estimate, call 315-796-2941 or visit Heritage.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX Utica, Rome, W295EI, WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM, a Town Square media station.
Why does he call this Wednesday Liberation Day? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Because President Trump says reciprocal tariffs that'll go into effect will target all countries that charged for American exports.
They ripped us off like no country's ever been ripped off in history. And we're going to be much nicer than they were to us, but it's substantial money for the country.
The president also suggested he could single out Iran for more tariffs over its nuclear program and perhaps Russia as he keeps trying to end the war in Ukraine. The president on Air Force One last night flying back to Washington also again talked about possibly running again.
I have had more people ask me to have a third term, which is in a way a fourth term because the other election, the 2020 election was totally rigged.
Well, the Constitution only allows 2 terms, but the president told NBC over the weekend there are methods to allow it. This is the last day to campaign in Florida before 2 special House elections.
To make people understand that the Trump agenda is on the line.
Randy Fine is the Republican in what polls show is a close race to fill the seat vacated by National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. Democrats also trying to flip the seat vacated by ex-Congressman Matt Gaetz. Elon Musk, who's leading the Trump Doge effort to slash federal spending, campaigned last night in Wisconsin wearing a cheesehead hat and giving away a few $1 million to people who signed a petition to get rid of activist judges as Musk campaigns for a Republican Supreme Court candidate, Brad Schimmel.
Just if the people that voted for President Trump simply vote on Tuesday, we will win. That's actually all it takes. Just vote. Boom. Done. Victory.
The high-stakes Supreme Court race is smashing spending records with more than $80 million spent so far and mega donors supporting both candidates. Elon Musk and his America PAC have spent more than $12 million in Wisconsin.
That's Fox's Brooke Singman. 4 Americans remain missing in Lithuania. The Army vehicle they were in during training has been pulled out of a swamp where it sank last Tuesday, but still no sign of the soldiers. America's listening to Fox News.
You've likely heard about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too, with their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. An easy, affordable way to see how it could literally change your life. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally, developed by doctors. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. Trying it couldn't be easier with their 3-week quick start for only $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call. 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're having pain, every day you feel better is a day you live better. Try Relief Factor's 3-week quick start today. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Yet another international student has been detained by immigration officials for having a role in pro-Palestinian protests. It's a grad student at the University of Minnesota, which did not cooperate with federal agents, and the school calls the situation deeply concerning. This amid attempts to deport others at Cornell, Tufts, and Columbia, where anti-Trump protests continue after the interim president, Katrina Armstrong, stepped down late last week.
Armstrong left not long after the Ivy League school agreed to Trump administration conditions to keep federal funding. Education Secretary Linda McMahon said she's talked to fearful students
who told me that they were afraid to go across campus, and a lot of the Jewish interaction on campus has been driven underground.
Columbia Board co-chair and ex-journalist Claire Shipman now leads the school, and New York GOP Congresswoman Elise Stefanik is against her.
She has criticized and belittled the House investigation and the accountability measures.
Both appeared on Fox's Sunday Morning Futures. Stefanik says she expects Shipman to resign as well. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
In France, a controversial conservative convicted in court.
Marine Le Pen and 8 other current or former lawmakers with her National Rally party have been found guilty of embezzlement. She's been told she can't run for public office, a prospect Le Pen previously called political death. For years, the 56-year-old has been a flag bearer for France's anti-immigration movement. A ban could prevent her from running in the 2027 presidential election. She finished as the runner-up to Emmanuel Macron in each of the last 2 votes. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
On Wall Street, stock futures are falling, down more than 200 points for the Dow, so March may end like it started, with a big sell-off. The Final Four is set in the men's college basketball tournament. Auburn and Houston won to join Duke and Florida. For the first time since 2008, all of them are the top seeds in their regions. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Good morning. WIBX 950 AM 92.3 FM news time is 8:05. I'm Megan Stone. It is 55 degrees and cloudy with light rain expected to start in about 20 minutes. Your full weather forecast is coming up next. A Western man was arrested for violating the Sex Offender Registry Act. According to the Oneida County Sheriff's Office, 58-year-old Dwayne Kirk moved from his residence without informing officers. His move was only discovered when a sergeant visited his home and determined he no longer lived there. Following an investigation, it was found Kirk had been living in Constableville since December. He was arrested after deputies located him in Lowville, and he was charged with failure to register change of address, which is a Class E felony. Kirk was arraigned and remanded to Oneida County Correctional Facility without bail. A 75-year-old woman was found safe after vanishing from her Westmoreland home. The Oneida County Sheriff's Office said they received a missing persons report for Brenda Kelly, and authorities began searching for her. Police were able to find her using the unmanned aerial system unit in a wooded area that was roughly a 3/4 of a mile behind a residence on State Route 233. Kelly was medically evaluated at the scene before being taken to Wynn Hospital for what authorities say were non-life-threatening injuries. A new scam is hitting the area. This time, it's criminals pretending to be from the Office of Social Security. Rome police said scammers are impersonating government officials, claiming to victims their Social Security number was compromised. Some of these calls start with a person claiming to be from Amazon before transferring them to the fake authorities. These calls sometimes spoof the official FBI phone number with an area code of 202. The victim will then be instructed to withdraw funds, sometimes up to $50,000 from their bank account, to deposit them into a secure location. Rome police say officers will never make such a request and urge residents to hang up on these calls. You could read more about this on WIBX950.com. And a Herkimer man was arrested and held on $50,000 cash bail for sexually assaulting a child. The Herkimer Police Department says authorities arrested 46-year-old Ronald Nichols, who is a level 2 sex offender. following a lengthy investigation. The charges stem from a 2023 incident where Nichols is accused of raping a female child under the age of 13. A grand jury charged Nichols with rape in the first degree, which is a Class B felony, and endangering the welfare of a child. Nichols was remanded to Herkimer County Correctional on $50,000 cash bond, or $150,000 bond, or $300,000 surety bond. It is 8:07. Here is your full weather forecast.
Outlook for severe weather marginal, meaning there is a chance we get an isolated storm this afternoon that could produce some heavy rain and gusty winds, but the dynamics just not there for widespread severe, but still on our toes. Could be some strong winds and hail with some of the storms, potentially an isolated tornado. 70 degrees, showers and thunderstorms will end tonight, giving us a clearing sky as we go through tomorrow. Colder weather with highs in the low 40s. I'm meteorologist Ray Stidgick from the Weather Channel, WIBX 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
55 degrees and cloudy outside. I'm Megan Stoney. Here's sports. The Pioneers, they lost 2-1 in overtime against Hobart, the Frozen Four championship, in a devastating loss. The Final Four in the NCAA men's basketball tournament set with 4 number 1 seeds making it to the Final Four. This is the first time since 2008. Auburn faces Florida in the SEC battle. Duke faces Houston in a matchup. They're no strangers to the Final Four, and the 2 games played on Saturday. Those who win will go head-to-head for the national title next Monday. The Yankees continued their hot start of the season after blowing out the Milwaukee Brewers 12-3 to sweep the series at Yankee Stadium. Aaron Judge went deep with a 2-run bomb. Josh Chisholm Jr. slugged a pair of homers, and Ben Rice also went deep. The Yanks lead the AL East by 1 game and host the Diamondbacks for a 3-game set beginning tomorrow. The Mets continue their 6-game road trip to start the season. New York hoping to bounce back after its series loss to the Astros. It visits the Marlins for a 3-game set tonight. Minwoo Lee is celebrating a tour victory for the first time in his career. Lee won the Texas Children's Houston Open after shooting a 3 under 67 in the final round to finish atop the leaderboard at 20 under par. Gary Woodland and Scottie Scheffler finished tied for second at 19 under par. Defending champion Stefan Jaeger finished tied with 4 other players for 11th at 12 under par. And Denny Hamlin celebrating his first Martinsville Speedway victory in a decade. After winning the Cookout 400, the driver of the number 11 car led 274 of the 400 laps to finish in first place, while Christopher Bell, Bubba Wallace, and Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson rounded the top 5. The NASCAR Cup Series heads to Darlington for the Goodyear 400 next Sunday. Your WIBX news time is 8:09. I'm Megan Stone.
Davey, you're cheering in there.
Because I've hit NASCAR 4 out of 5 weeks on betting.
You become a real kingpin in the betting world.
Not really. I just do small amount. Scott calls me Mr. NASCAR now.
Okay, you're 5 in a row on NASCAR?
4 or 5.
You're gonna have people calling up and asking you.
I give advice to Wayne.
Okay, all right, okay. Tomorrow is the first day of fishing season. Speaking of Wayne, trout season anyway here. Today is a state holiday. But not all school districts are celebrating or recognizing the holiday. Mm-hmm. I believe Utica is. You do have your postal service. The banks are open. Everything else is open. It is not a federal holiday. What else did I want to say? Last night's game, if you were there last night or you watched it at home, was unbelievable. It was one of the most riveting games I think I've ever seen. I would like to be on the winning side of that, however. But what a job they did to make it to the national championship game. Incredible. But what a game.
Go to Mr. Hockey himself, Howie Rose.
Here is Howie Rose talking about the game last night, who actually was in attendance at the Nexus Center, which was the big surprise. People lining up, getting their autographs. Howie, good morning. Good morning.
Well, hello, Bill.
Well, hello, Howie. So, your take on last night?
Well, first, I'd like to tip my hat to Hobart. They played a tremendous game. Both teams played great. It went into overtime, and Utica almost had the winning goal in overtime, but it hit the post. It could have went either way.
It could have gone either way.
And that's what makes
Utica
it so sad.
had the opportunity, and I thought Boy, the fact that goal didn't go in, and you saw it, it hit the post. They showed the replay. It was just an inch from going in, and this would have been a completely opposite game. The Pioneers would have won it all and won that. It just shows you how. And Stephen, do you agree? The incredible offensive drives that and the defensive stands that occurred in that game, it was just crazy. The puck was flying all over the place. It was tough to even keep track.
Yeah, and even a puck came near the concession stand, near out of bounds, near the standing room only crowd where I was standing, and the people had to duck to not get hit by the puck.
Yeah, wild. Okay, and anything else from you? As Howie, knowing you're a big Mets fan, what do you think?
The Mets have to start hitting the ball. Lindor is 0 for the season so far.
Yeah.
The only one that has a home run is their big money man, Juan Soto. Alonso hasn't done too much. They need to start hitting the ball.
Lindor as well. I mean, they all got off to a very slow start, and then their bats came on fire. But you don't want to fall behind again. It's just crazy. Meanwhile, the Yankees are hitting the hell out of the ball. Holy moly. It's crazy. All right, Stefan, good stuff. Have a wonderful day.
Bye, Bill.
All right, that is Stefan Rabitsky. Quick break. Coming up, we'll speak with Joe Rakowski. NY21, a lot to talk about with Joe. Coming up next.
Trust and Will knows that we'll all eventually need a will. How about right now? Trust and Will makes creating your will easy, like while you're lounging on the couch easy. Trust and Will is designed by attorneys but customized by you, and all documents are state-specific and secure. Find your plan at trustandwill.com and use offer code RADIO now for 20% off. That's trustandwill.com, offer code RADIO. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
Emergencies strike at any time without warning. When they do, food disappears fast. That's why prepared Americans trust My Patriot Supply, the leader in long-term emergency food storage, to protect their families. For a limited time, order their best-selling 4-week emergency food supply and get 4 free 72-hour food kits. That's 12 extra days of food at no extra cost. That's nearly 2 weeks of extra food, free, to keep your family secure. Plus, free shipping. Order by 3 p.m. for same-day shipping. All kits deliver 2,000 calories per day of easy-to-prepare meals with a shelf life up to 25 years. These kits that have been rated 4.8 out of 5 stars by tens of thousands of folks like you. When the next crisis hits, you'll be ready. Stock up now at MyPatriotSupply.com before this deal disappears. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com for your 4-week emergency food supply and 4 free extra food kits. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Dear me, I'm you writing from your future. I know that you're hesitant to get care for your heart. But when you visit the St. Joseph's Health Cardiovascular Institute, you'll receive a higher level of care. Their team of highly skilled doctors, nurses, and specialists provides comprehensive heart care and quicker recovery times, giving you the best possible outcomes. Go to sjhsyr.org/CVI to get started. Don't wait. Get back to the life you love.
Scott and Jill here from New York Sash. Business is booming, and we need more hands on deck.
That's right. We're hiring experienced installers, windows, siding, bath. If you know your way around a job site, we want to meet you.
Come to the showroom this Wednesday for our open interview day.
Bring your resume for on-the-spot interviews. No appointment needed, anytime from 9 till 2.
At New York Sash, we take pride in every project we complete because quality craftsmanship is what we're known for. And it's all thanks to our our incredible team.
And when you're part of our team, your family, that means great pay, steady work, and a company that treats you right.
Plus, serious perks like company-provided tools, uniforms, continuing education, paid time off, and 401k.
Ready to take your career to the next level? Then don't miss our open interview day this Wednesday from 9 to 2 at our showroom. Bring your resume and meet us in person for an interview on the spot.
Or apply online anytime at newyorksash.com/jobs.
It's hard to know what to do when you lose a loved one. You need someone you can trust to help you navigate all the options. Mohawk Valley Monuments has been providing comfort and delivering quality memorials in our community for over 95 years. Mohawk Valley Monuments has experience with all the local cemeteries, from simple grave markings to intricate family mausoleums. For personalized service, call us today at 315-724-7629 or visit us at mohawkvalleymonuments.com.
Now through March 31st, get up to $160 back on a Bridgestone prepaid MasterCard when you use your Tallman's card from CFNA. Whether you're in Utica, Yorkville, Rome, or Herkimer, their team of professionals is ready to serve you. Schedule your appointment today online at TallmansTire.com. Tallman's Tire and Auto Repair. Get the best tires for your vehicle at unbeatable prices guaranteed. Subject to credit approval, restrictions apply. See dealer or BridgestoneRewards.com for details.
The Vernon Downs Casino Hotel Summer Benefit Concert is returning with the Little River Band. 50 Years Happy Anniversary Tour, Friday, June 20th. Enjoy an evening of live music in support of ending hunger, and proceeds from all ticket sales will be donated to Food Bank of Central New York. All seating is general admission only on the track apron or in the grandstand. Don't miss the Little River Band, live at Vernon Downs Friday, June 20th. Get tickets on Ticketmaster or visit vernondowns.com to learn more.
Do it old school with Heritage Logging and Tree Removal. The area's go-to land clearing company. They specialize in tree removal, land clearing, stump grinding, and more. For your free estimate, call 315-796-2941 or visit heritagelogging.com.
The Potting Shed Antiques in Whitesboro is buying silver, gold, gold-filled, vintage costume, estate jewelry, and U.S. and Canadian coins. They've been your hometown buyer for over 50 years. While other gold and silver buyers claim to offer the highest prices, the Potting Shed Antiques actually delivers. Let Don Hartman take a look at your individual pieces or your entire collection. The Potting Shed Antiques, open Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Please call ahead for an appointment. Visit thepottingshedantiques.com.
Stop putting off registering for the 2025 Boilermaker Road Race because it's almost sold out. People are sprinting to Boilermaker.com to grab their racing bibs before they're gone. Reserve your spot at the starting line now and punch your ticket to the world's best post-race party, where there will be live music, drinks, food, and plenty of surprises. This year's Boilermaker will be bigger and better than ever, but the window to sign up is closing. So run, don't walk, to Boilermaker.com and sign up for one of America's most famous races. See you at the starting line, July 13th.
This is Keeler in the Morning. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
All right, listen, we had quite a blow-up with Anthony Constantino on Friday. You, Joe Iowski, by the way, in studio right now. Joe, a businessman. Megan, can you just adjust that by looking at the monitor there? Joe is a businessman in the city of Rome, but does a lot of work around the country. And you deal with big construction jobs.
Yeah, correct. Last Thursday when I got the news that the race was over, I booked a ticket. Friday morning I was on the border, the southern border, and Saturday morning I spent an hour and a half flying the border in a helicopter looking at a project for ICE. Didn't miss a beat.
Didn't miss a beat. Okay. How do you feel? I guess I asked this question of Constantino, and he immediately got into a fight with me. You had to be disappointed a little bit. Were you disappointed? How did you feel?
I didn't put any emotion up, that's for sure. It was turn one switch off and turn the other one on.
Listen, I heard from you on. I was trying to get you on the air through this, and you were already heading down south. So
yeah, my opinion is okay. You have to have faith in Trump's decision making. This was always a whisper. it was always a whisper amongst the chairs that, well, what happens if, Trump gets into a position where maybe this is too much risk, because the levers that he's pulling on a world stage are affected by Congress first. It's not a good position to have such a slim majority.
Yeah, it's slim. And my guess is in Florida, the races will go Republican. However,
that was not the sentiment in the White House.
I know.
Really?
No, there was
nervous.
one race we're nervous about, and the other race we're confident about. But that was another factor, many factors.
Part of it is because all these things that hurt are being done right now. They'll be over with by the time you get to the midterms. Because listen, we're a creature of habit here. We like the services we receive that we're involved with. We love to see cuts as long as they're somewhere else. So the cuts that are hitting home, and they're hitting in Florida. This special election is happening tomorrow. That's what makes this a bit, I think, tender for the tender to the touch. I think for the president in the White House.
Yeah, you have to understand, medicine usually doesn't taste good.
Right,
and America needs a big shot of medicine right now.
Probably.
We
yes.
also need a spoonful of sugar.
Okay, so let's go. I want to go through this whole thing because you lived it, and I make no bones about it. I supported you, and I was really hopeful that because I know you as a person. And I feel that you would have made for a great congressperson. We've had this conversation.
Well, thanks, Bill. And it's my first run at any political office. So I
think that's what made it so good.
Yeah, and I relied on colleagues and friends and what people in politics for advice on how to handle this.
Yeah.
And I got advice from many of my good friends, yourself included, and I felt very supported. And I enjoyed. I met so many I met all the chairs. I met so many people surrounding politics and the chairs teams, and enjoyed it. I don't regret it one bit.
Mr. Constantino said he won every poll. All the chairs, the majority of the chairs were with him. I know that to be not true. I want to ask you. And from what I knew from the inside, you were on the short list.
On Thursday, I had lunch with one of the final chairs that was heavily supporting me, and they were all kind of under a gag order is what it felt like.
Yeah.
We can't talk about this because we don't have an election yet, but when you're in Congress was the type of comments I was getting from more and more of the chairs. I left lunch with Montgomery County chair, driving down the thruway, coming back to Rome, and I was talking to my team in Washington, and I can't divulge all my contacts, but I have people in places that are very connected to the White House. And I actually called my mom after a series of conversations, and I said, "Mom, I think this is this is going to happen."
Yeah.
And I got off the phone within 5 minutes, and there was the first whisper.
Yeah.
And there was a report out of Washington that she may not go to the UN, and then within 15 minutes,
it blew up.
It blew up. Yeah.
All right. How did you got a chance to meet these chairmen throughout the district, large district? How do you feel when it comes to support? Let's start with you're obviously Oneida County. We want someone in who's from Oneida County.
Well, that may be the case with support with the county exec. Joe Griffo gave me a lot of mentoring and a lot of advice, and he was very much supportive. The mayor of Rome, Lanigan, all those
supported.
folks who I supported. And I've been a supporter of all across the board. I think that has actually hurt me in this situation because there is strife between our Oneida County chairman and the rest of the team. So that did not help me. The other 14 chairs, I did very well with.
Hold on. So there's tension between Rozier and everybody else.
Yeah, Ken made that clear first meeting that I had with him. So I had to tiptoe around that situation. The whole time I was selling myself as the guy who supports the Republican Party.
But he supported you.
It was kind of off and on. I never personally felt I had full support from our county chair.
Wow. I thought that was a given.
No. Which I think was part of the problem why this process was so amok, because we had all these factions. There's portions of the New York 21 that have loyalty to certain candidates, and next thing you know, like this thing became sideways in different ways. It was a target that was moving increasing and decreasing and changing distance and color. It was every week.
You were good with Herkimer County.
Herkimer County was fantastic.
Yeah.
I flew down and had dinner with Sylvia, and she is astute with politics. She's wise and she's experienced.
Well, you can't allow what I would say. You shouldn't be allowing your personal stuff, baggage, to get involved in something that benefits your community. And I'm talking about the Oneida County chair.
The part that disappoints me is, had this process been handled better, the Democrats had no problem putting a candidate up right away, and he was raising money quickly. That hurt us. The dissension between, who had a favorite, and then there was no vote. The process was skewed or faulted. And then the fact that the White House has got an ear to this process. I think they lost confidence in this situation, or the chairs to put up a candidate. And as a business guy, I think it was very flawed. Elise was silent, and I'm tickled she's back, right? She's a powerhouse. She's fantastic. Good for the area. But the fact that my resume was the only resume that had an understanding of how our government works, the military, law enforcement, working on the border, et cetera, I thought for sure I would have got a lot more support locally. The problem I had with the chairs that don't know me across the other 14 counties, it took time. So the fact that the process was delayed only benefited me.
Yeah.
In the final hours, I knew I had this nomination, with or without our local support.
Wow. Do you buy into? There's some reporting through Fox that that there was a rift between Elise and the administration.
I didn't hear that there was a rift. I just think that everyone had a different plan on how to make this happen. And at the end of the day, I know people who know Trump very well. Trump will pivot on a dime and go in a different direction. And that was always a risk, always a risk. And then you factor in this slim majority. You factor in that the Republicans put up, I think it was a valid candidate, a blue-collar guy, right? It's that kind of atmosphere.
He was the best candidate they could have put up, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, guy's a dairy farmer.
A farmer that is liked by Republican and Democrat farmers.
And then you look at the candidates that we had at the finish line. There was 4 of us, and there was controversy around many of them.
Was Constantino one of the 4?
Constantino was never someone that the chairs were pushing.
Yeah.
Again, the guy's got energy and he's got some money, but it's new money. And I can tell you that he was a guy that thought he was running a primary, and it didn't matter how many people thought he was a good candidate. The chairs had to be convinced. He never convinced the chairs.
I almost felt like the what I thought was running all these commercials and telling everyone I'm the one. I'll give you an example. Just yesterday, my wife received a text message from Anthony Constantino as if he's still running a campaign. This is Anthony Constantino, which, by the way, my wife is a Democrat. I don't know why she'd be getting this. It's telling me sloppy, just grabbed a list, not playing the strategic game that he claimed he was playing. Nonetheless, thanks to you, we've won every poll, which is unheard of for a political newcomer. Do you want to comment on that? You mean the poll for the race that had no candidates yet?
I think he's under contract. I think he's required to write checks now to finish out this race. And
I think you may be right.
Right. Yeah. He spent a ton of money. Had he spent that money on other things, he would have been more respected. But just doing I could go to my office right now and take a poll, and they will tell me I am the best boss in the world.
That's exactly right. Yes, they will tell you that.
Yeah.
I have a few listener. We'll get into more of this, but I have a few listener. Can you ask your guest why Oneida County Republican Party never endorsed him? Why the Oneida County Party, a Republican Party, never endorsed you? They never came out. Rozier never came out for you.
Well, let me back up. So the first individual who endorsed me and wrote a letter was Doug Singleton from Lee, a town of Lee. Big endorsement there, and he's 30 some years in this business, and he controls a lot up there in that part of the county. He fought for me, and we had a lot of conversations back and forth. And it
Doug
was
from Lee,
town of Lee. Christine Esposito, who is a wonderful woman, she was fiery with our chair on why was I not getting full endorsement, because the lead chair can steer the other chairs, okay? But I felt I had kind of the opposite going on. And then we had letters go into Elise. And we were kind of like, okay, who the police department wrote a letter, the FOP, or they called the Benevolent Association.
Yeah.
Ton of support locally. Even folks that, that I was stationed with at Griffiths back in the day that are still in the military complex, just a ton of support based on knowing who I am, my experience in business and the government.
But never got that full support.
I think there were some statements and there was an attempt, but it would have been a slam dunk. And I think it would have changed the outcome of the situation, because at the White House, who my resume was on President Trump's desk, I was told early on by leaders in this situation here in the process. So I was never not in the front of the pack. But what I needed to do is I needed to gain respect and trust from the other chairs, because I was a no-name. But the resume spoke for it. I'll tell you something funny. This is the craziest thing.
Yeah.
The very first week that I put my name in the hat back in November, I got a call and says, hey, we hear you may not get vetted. You have something in your past. And I said, I am the squeakiest, cleanest guy. And I actually paid a firm, former CIA individual, to do a full background. And they came back with speeding tickets from Oregon. You bought a hunting license in Oregon in 1989. Just way old stuff that I was surprised.
Chased down a guy in New Hartford Shopping Center was trying to steal.
Right.
With 2 leather coats.
Yeah, that was a great day. We got one bad guy off the street. But anyway, this background thing popped up first. It made it all the way to the White House. So I battled wave after wave. When that was figured, when everybody decided, okay, this is nonsense, we moved on to something else. Oh, well, he wrote a check to Brindisi for $2,500, which turned into...
Well, Constantino was all about that.
He's the one who started it. Yeah. Then it was on the show, My Wife's Business, I run it, et cetera, et cetera. This is politics, though. This is American politics. You can be this squeaky clean guy in a race or gal, and they will find
something.
Yeah.
And that's the point that it was very disappointing to me, because I've worked so hard over 18 years, 19 years building this business. And, we donate so much to the community between Hospital Foundation, anything we can to support leadership, et cetera. And we've got good leadership in Oneida County, and I applaud their efforts. These people work hard all across the board in these elected officials.
So do you believe that you did not have Rose? Because Rob is asking, how do you win without your home county? Do you believe that Rob, do you believe that Rozier, this, and you kind of alluded to this earlier, this was because you're friends with Pacini, you're friends with Griffo and Lanigan, these are the people he's not friends with, that he struggled to support you because of that? It's basically
I know this is probably going to hit a nerve across the listenership. I don't lie. I just don't like liars. I was told in my very first interview, as I thought I was doing a good job, to say, hey, these are my colleagues. These are people I support. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on local races from Congress all the way down. And the response I got was, that's not a good thing in my book. And I think that's wrong.
You said, I'm close with Pacenti, I'm close with Griffo, I'm close with Brian Miller.
I don't remember the phrase. I just said I support local leadership. And in my opinion, I'm the new kid on the block, right? I don't know all these rules. It's such a ground game. And the response was not good. And I said, geez, I gotta change my strategy here. But I never felt that I would sacrifice my integrity. And I never threw those guys on. And I still support them. I mean, after we realized kind of what was going on, I reached out to all leadership that I do business with and talk to, and everybody said, yeah, this is the game. It's very much like that game of phone in high school. It was, I could make a statement at one chair in the morning, and by the afternoon it was twisted and could be a negative depending on where it came from.
Depends on how they heard it.
I also thought it was interesting. Constantino on Friday was saying he takes government money. Well, of course, you are doing major government contracts with, when you see the dump truck, and I only know this because I've done some work with you, but you have your dump truck or your whatever, all the names of these.
The earth moving equipment.
And then there are the ones that are so large, you stand up and the tire is actually bigger than you are. That's the stuff you work with. This is the work your company does.
Well, we're in the mining business. We were just entered into the environmental business with a landfill, which it's necessary. It has a negative maybe to some people, but We move earth all over the country for the Army Corps infrastructure projects. I just spent 2 days on the border looking at another project that is, with the Trump administration. These are things that we do, and this is the market we're in. I don't know. I mean, if that doesn't qualify me to go to Congress at some level versus stickers, statues, and signs, what I mean?
Right. And then the other part is, why is it a negative that your business is woman-owned? Why is that? Why did that become a negative for Constantino?
So Constantino met Trish at the Lincoln dinner that Fulton County put on sometime in January, February. And we took the high road. We shook hands. We met. Hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Good luck to you. And that's what I've said to everybody. I still talk to some of the folks that were running against me for the same seat. And he was good. He was a gentleman. We met his team. And they actually seemed relieved when I met them and I was a decent guy. And he said to my wife, he goes, yeah, he's a contender. No doubt he's a contender. He's a good guy. And her comment to him was, he's very, very good at business development. That's what he primarily does for the business. And that was the end of it. And this is a great example how it got twisted into, well, she said, Tricia Rakowski said that Joe runs the business. Not even close. So that to me showed the level of integrity someone like that. You don't want someone like that. We've got a war going on in the party with this guy.
Yeah, it is funny. I want to tell one story I'll just tell it, and then hopefully it doesn't hurt me down the road. But I had done some work for your company, and in the middle of the whole thing, I had said, all right, we've got everything going. We're going to be doing A, B, and C. And someone said, have you spoken to his wife? I said, not yet. He said, well, nothing happens without her approval, and you're going to have to speak with. So the next meeting, she was involved. She definitely plays a major role in your company.
Trish is an accountant.
Yes.
We're a construction company, and she pays, $30, $40, $50 million a year in bills to make this company run.
Right.
And, that's something I can't do. Can I run the bulldozer? Can I go shake hands and make the deals? Yeah, but together as a team, we've built this. So it could have been more insulting. Plus, the United States government and the state government have a ton of programs to incubate small business in the bigger business, and you'll graduate. And we're very close to graduating at some point. And it's a good program. He just doesn't realize how government works. And to make all the woman-owned business owners mad.
Not good. Not
he
smart.
didn't stand it. No, there's no way he's going to come.
Speaking with Joe Rakowski, a business person in Rome, Mohawk Valley Materials. We started out when you were new to civilian life here a long time ago, when I bought mulch from you.
So we started with a $40 scoop of mulch with no employees. Mm-hmm. So, we've grown, and now I get it. Right now I'm 52 years old. I felt confident that's a good, I was asked to run again. You got to remember, it wasn't like I wake up in the morning and say, I got to be part of the government. And I had a lot of support. So that's how I got here. People pushing and pleading to say, hey, can you get involved?
Would you do this again, knowing now what you know?
I don't have an answer for that.
Okay.
I don't. I really don't.
Too soon to tell.
It's hard to say never. You can never say never. But at the same time, it's got to be an eye-opener, what you've gone through.
It's an eye-opener, and my hat's off to all of our elected officials because they deal with this all the time. This is par for the course, and I hated that part of it. We need better people. I think we need to pay politicians better. And we need to treat them better, and we need to get along with them. It's so important that the leadership can go to work and feel good that they're supported by the constituency. And somehow we need to break down this wall between the Dems and the Republicans. It's killing the country. I wish there was a way to do that.
Also, I find that someone will make a comment like, all he's ever done or all she's ever done is public service. It's disgusting. At what point did serving your country, however you may do it, become a bad thing?
I don't know. I mean, we need them, right? The roads don't get paved without government. They collect the taxes. Trump's trying to lower the cost of running the country every day. It's fantastic. I can't wait. I mean, don't forget, whatever Trump puts up, on the billboard this morning might change in the afternoon, but he's got strategy.
Yeah.
And it's all strategy. So Elon said it about 2 weeks ago. He said, we're moving fast and we're making decisions. And if it's a wrong decision, we'll change it. But let them make some changes.
I do find it interesting how they made the move so quickly on this and it almost seems as if it was cautious, which is not the person that I perceive when it comes to Trump. But maybe we're looking at him incorrectly. Maybe he is I certainly know he's calculated, but maybe the word caution can be used as well.
I think Trump fell victim to the swamp in the first election. I don't think he realized how deep the swamp was, and the loss in his election, and to bring him back with that break, we have a different Trump, a better Trump, a wiser Trump, and he's got a better team. I mean, he put together, I think he just threw all the rules out the window from the first time around and put together a fantastic team.
I have Greeley in Florida with on the congressional seat down there. Greeley, good morning. I am surprised they didn't wait until tomorrow's election to make this decision. But Greeley, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Hey, guys. Hey, Joe, you would have been great, man. I'm hoping you hang in there and come back for something else because I was all behind you, brother. I thought you would have been great.
Thanks, Greeley.
He's a good man. Do you know Greeley?
I don't know Greeley. Was he
Greeley Ford? Was State Liquor Authority.
Greeley. I played in a band. Greeley, how are you?
Greeley didn't just play in a band. He played with the Beach Boys at one point on tour. So
I have had a few drinks with Greeley. He's a fantastic guy.
Yes.
Thanks for calling from Florida, by the way.
Yeah, I think the last time I ran into you was on the golf course. Would that be correct? I think so.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Probably for a fundraiser, right?
Probably, yeah, probably.
Greeley, I got to tell you, we were at Andrew's wedding. I forget the name of the place, but we were at a golf course in Fort Myers for Andrew's wedding, and I thought it was like Mar-a-Lago. I mean, I've never seen, and they're all over Florida. I've never seen such a complex with such money behind it. It was just an unbelievable trip we had.
Well, we've been to Mar-a-Lago, had dinner there next to Trump, met him and everything, and I can tell you, there's no place in Florida like Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, I'm sure there's not.
But anyway, that's not what I called about.
Yes.
I as someone here on the ground, I'm in Mike Waltz's old district, and you wonder why this decision was made, and I kind of think it might have something to do with the whole Signal Gate nonsense. Because, he's the one who's taken responsibility for it. I think it might have unnerved them a little bit that seat could be lost. Could have some, impact to that. But I saw a post the other day from the Volusia County Republican Committee who said that right now Randy Fine, who's running to take his place, is about 9,000 votes ahead. Now, that's kind of surprising to us because every time I go by the polling place where we voted early. As a matter of fact, it's pretty vacant. I mean, there's not a lot of people there. So to hear that it's 9,000 ahead, that's encouraging. But, it ain't over just yet, another day or so.
Interesting.
But I thought that was interesting. Randy Fine also, he's in the Florida State Senate, and he just got shot down on a bill to lower the gun buying age to 18. As a matter of fact, Republicans on the committee walked out of the room so they didn't have to vote on it. Anyway.
That's very interesting. All right, we'll be, I think everybody's going to be watching tomorrow to see what happens.
So,
absolutely. It's interesting one way or the other. This whole idea of Trump taking people from Congress to be in his administration. I kind of thought that was risky to begin with, but Trump didn't get where he is by listening to other people. So we'll see what happens, right?
Let's try to grab you tomorrow, Greeley, if we could. I'd like to get your take on what kind of energy there is there tomorrow.
Sounds good, brother.
All right, good stuff. Thank you, Greeley. Great man, Greeley Ford.
I know him a long time. He is a great man. I enjoy being around.
And then I have one more question. Tom asking, please ask Joe his opinion when it comes to electric trucks.
Are you aware of what's going on with this bill?
I am very aware.
Okay, so the New York State government, the Democratic government, has this new law.
And this is Tom from Utica.
Oh, Tom Highland. Yeah, thanks for calling or asking the question. It is a crime what's going on. So the state of New York wants all the dealers, requires all the truck dealers, we're talking Peterbilt, big trucks, okay, the Mack trucks, etc. Their first unit for 2025 of every model must be an electric truck. So now Tom, if he sells 20 models, he's got to spend millions on these models, which nobody wants to buy. The consumers don't want them. I don't want them because they don't work. You can't charge them. They're gonna quit on the job. They don't work good in the winter. New York City doesn't want them. They don't make good trash trucks, etc. Except the government doesn't have to do this. New York State, the cities and the towns do not have to abide by this.
There's a waiver for them.
It's a waiver. They ran it through DEC, I believe, to get this law passed, and they're about to crush the industry. Where the voters, what the voters need to do is they need to call their lawmakers, and they need to raise holy hell with this, because at some point, not only that, a truck driver now has to go to school, a special school. There's not enough schools. There's not enough slots to train. We are going to be in huge trouble with this.
Not enough charging stations.
Not enough charging stations. This is
long
hypocrisy.
Enough charge. National Grid will be the first to say while this may be the future is not right now. We're not ready.
This is a Democratic policy. I'm not one to throw stones, but this is such BS. It needs to go now, and everybody needs to push on Albany. And we need help from Washington to get this resolved. That Tom has worked his whole life to build a business, and it can take out the trucking industry in New York State. And it's going to follow. If we don't beat it here, it's going to end up in every state.
Yeah,
it is a disaster.
Yeah, I think you'd have been an awful congressman. You'd have been terrible. Awful.
Let me at him.
All right, Joe Rakowski. It has been an interesting ride here.
It has more to follow. Right?
It does feel like, though, doesn't it? Feel like this whole 21st thing has been going on forever.
It's 4 months. I've been running around buying dinners and flying and meeting everybody. I did everything. A lot of chairs I said, "Are you doing everything perfectly? Keep doing it." That was the one statement I got from almost all of them across the board. You're doing it right.
Yeah.
So, hey, shout out to Gary Heenan and the boys. Okay. And
I wanted to ask you finally about that. What a game last night.
I have lived those emotions with both my boys who have played for Gary Heenan. I was there when my oldest son got recruited. He was at Oswego till today. My son Jackson played. I've been to 1 million hockey games. My youngest son won 2 national titles. I've been through these nail biters when he played for junior, Jackson. And right to the end, right?
Unbelievable. And there was one that went off the post that would have won the game for Utica. It was just an inch to the right.
Don't give up, Gary. Great job, and shout out to Utica University.
And this was an unlikely team. This was not the team that was expected to go this far. I still think the thing that we'll never get back is the year that COVID took that team that was undefeated.
So that was the year my son Joey played, and Gary gave him some level of accreditation for leading that team to their level of success, and it was huge for us. And COVID, squashed it, again.
Killed it. You win you won the conference.
By the way, with COVID, again, these policies, right? We never stopped. We didn't wear masks. We went to work. We traveled. I was on the plane going to Texas. I was the only guy on the plane.
Yeah.
Again, a bad policy. We need better leaders.
Amazing that you don't need a mask when you're the only person on the plane. Wild, right? All right, good stuff, Joe Rakowski. Thank you.
Thank you.
Quick break. We'll come back. I want to talk about Felicia Reed. Here is an interesting policy in New York, of course, the legalization of marijuana. So the MRTA, Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act, now turns 4 in New York State. How much money has it garnered for the state? We'll get into that coming up at WIBX.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jose Lopez from the band Showtime.
I'm Justin from the band Showtime. We'll be the house band on May 10th at the Rome Capitol Theater during CNY On Stage Live.
It'll be a wonderful event full of great acts,
dancers, comedians, and singers.
And you could be one of those singers fronting the band Showtime on the Capitol stage.
Complete details at RomeCapitol.com.
Are you ready to sing in the spotlight on the Capitol stage with Showtime?
We'll see you there.
CDC recommends that people age 65 and older and those with moderate or severe immunocompromise should receive a second dose of seasonal COVID-19 vaccine 2 to 6 months after their last dose. Learn more and make an appointment at KinneyDrugs.com. Walk-ins are also welcome at all Kinney pharmacies.
Kinney Drugs is here for life.
Now, you know that no one else in New York State has all the brands under one roof that Mattress Express has. Tempur-Pedic, Stearns & Foster, Sealy, Purple, Puffy, the Smart Bed by Instant Comfort, Posh & Lavish, Therapeutic, and the largest selection of FlexEd beds in New York State. But when these companies come out with new models, we get left with brand new inventory of the old model and floor models that we have to sell off as clearance, and that's where you save. These come with the full manufacturer's warranty, many of them still in the original packaging, brand new stuff. Right now, come into Mattress Express, pick a king or queen clearance model and even some new models and get a free adjustable base. Save over what you would have paid originally and get a free adjustable base. Take up to 5 years to pay with no money down for qualified buyers, and we have no credit check payment plans. Go to mattressexpressny.com for locations. Call 1-800-NEW-BEDS.
It all began in 1985 with a single goal, a commitment to brighten our community. And with your kindness, that light grew brighter. Because for 40 years, you've helped Food Bank of Central New York deliver healthy food and hope. But that need continues to grow. So this year, please consider giving a little extra and make sure the light we shine together never goes out.
Now through March 31st, get up to $120 back on a Firestone prepaid MasterCard when you use your Tallman's card from CFNA. Whether you're in Utica, Yorkville, Rome, or Herkimer, their team of professionals is ready to serve you. Schedule your appointment today online at tallmanstire.com. Tallman's Tire and Auto Repair. Get the best tires for your vehicle at unbeatable prices guaranteed. Subject to credit approval, restrictions apply. See dealer or firestonerewards.com for details.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, millions of men experience ED, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. At HIMSS, our own board-certified urologist, Dr. Peter Stahl, knows this better than anyone, and he knows that HIMSS can help.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, Senior Vice President of Men's Sexual Health at HIMSS. I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS.
Through HIMSS.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs. Options at up to 95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/radio. To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% less than brand name prices, go to hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit.
WIBX. This is Keeler. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM. Now back to the Keeler Show.
And then along came GPO. Start the year off debt-free and stress-free with GPO Federal Credit Union. Simplify your finances with balanced transfer rates as low as 3.99% APR for 12 months, or consolidate high-interest debt into one manageable payment with personal loans. And it doesn't end there. They partnered with a program called Balance to provide free virtual or in-person sessions with financial advisors. Why wait? GPO can help you in 2025. Go to their website, gpofcu.com, or stop by any branch today. Debt-free, stress-free. Start your journey with GPO today. Subject to credit approval, membership eligibility required. Rates and terms based on credit worthiness. Balance transfer rates revert back to normal card rate after the 12th month. And contact GPO for more information. On the line right now, Felicia Reed. She is the Deputy Executive Director of the New York State Office of Cannabis Management and is on the line right now. Good morning, Felicia. Thanks for coming on.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good morning.
Being here.
Sorry, we've been slow this morning, but let's move quickly. And how well is cannabis doing in New York? What kind of dollars are we talking about?
So I'm always careful around this because I don't think it's just about the dollars. But just to start there, I will say that in 2024, we did surpass the 1 billion mark for adult use retail sales. That's sales from our dispensaries and through our licensed channels, and that's incredible work of the industry, incredible work for a lot of operators. And in terms of just the industry, it also has to be supported by the agency. In the last 9 months, we've made incredible strides as an agency in building out and supporting our market and our licensees. So the gains are great and many, and so I'm excited, to be here to talk about it.
How are you handling all of these pop-ups? I think for the consumer, the big confusion is what is authentic and what is
illegal. Just
somebody that, illegal, I guess.
Selling it from the back of their truck.
Yeah, so if it's coming from the back of a truck, you know immediately that it's not.
Well, but these are brick and mortar stores. You see them all over the place.
Yeah, so when you're looking at a brick and mortar store, what you're going to want to look out for as a consumer is a couple of things. And we have a campaign coming later this month called Higher Education that's going to be educating consumers and New Yorkers. But you're going to want to look for a few things. One, you're going to want to look for a cannabis New York State license sticker. It's a teal sticker with a rounded top. It has a QR code. Don't just stop at the sticker, scan the QR code, because what we found is that some of these unlicensed places are putting fake stickers, but they have to look a certain way and they had to lead a certain way. Also, if you could see a bunch of cannabis products and a bunch of cat cannabis labels and all that stuff from the windows outside, that's also likely not a dispensary that is licensed by OCM. And honestly, you should be able to walk into a dispensary and see their license on the wall. I've been to several, and the licenses are is very, very prominently displayed. And so just look out for things, ask questions of the folks who are serving you around product, scan the product. You can scan them from your QR codes on your phone. Every product is supposed to have one. Read labels. When it comes to our regulated market, we put a lot of structure in place so that folks know what they're getting, where it's coming from, and what it is. What you will find at unlicensed dispensaries is you don't get that level of information.
Final question. One of the opponents of this said this is going to increase crime, traffic accidents, et cetera, et cetera. What's the data show?
The data has shown, we've seen folks who have, exercised irresponsibility and who are consuming cannabis and, and operating motor vehicles. However, the increases are not such that weren't happening before legalization happened. Okay. Here's the thing, is that cannabis, whether it's been legal or not legal, has been consumed by many people for many decades. Right. It's not legalization that cannabis is increasing. In fact, when it comes to kids, we've actually seen decreases in youth cannabis consumption because of all of the information coming out of legalization.
All right, great stuff. Let's do it again, Felicia. Thank you so much for the time.
All right, thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Felicia.
Have a great day. I want to leave you with Revive Soft Wave Therapy. Think about this. If you're having pain, neck pain, back pain, knee pain, wrist, arthritis, shoulder, any pain that you may have, Soft Wave Therapy with Dr. Timothy DelMedico may be the answer. It's FDA cleared, non-invasive, drug-free. And you can ask about the $99 new patient special to get you started. The pain can be dealt with. The pain can be eliminated. Call today, 315-725-8427, 315-725-8427.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX Utica, Rome, W295EI, WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM, a Town Square media station.
Elon Musk goes to the CIA. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and he'll meet today with Director John Ratcliffe. As Fox's Madeline Rivera reports, Musk keeps pushing Doge's controversial plans to slash federal jobs and spending.
Musk is pushing ahead with his efforts to cut costs as people around the country continue their protests against him. There were several Tesla takedown demonstrations across the U.S. and Europe over the weekend. This comes as vandalism and attacks targeting Tesla property grow.
Musk is the CEO of Tesla. Last night in Wisconsin, he called the protests and threats not cool, as Musk campaigned for a Republican Supreme Court candidate, giving away a few $1 million to voters who signed a petition to get rid of activist judges. As for tomorrow's election in Wisconsin,
we got to pull a rabbit out of the hat next level. We're actually going to have a steady stream of rabbits out of the hat, like it's an arc of rabbits flying through the air and landing in a voting booth.
Now, there are two special House elections also tomorrow in Florida. Randy Fine, the Republican in what polls show is a close race to replace National Security Advisor Mike Waltz in Congress, tells Fox.
The important thing is for those who agree with President Trump, who support the Trump agenda. My opponent is endorsed by Bernie Sanders.
President Trump is touting Liberation Day, which is what he calls Wednesday, when new U.S. reciprocal tariffs go into effect, targeting all countries, he says, that have tariffed American exports.
The tariffs will be far more generous than those countries were to us.
The president on Air Force One last night, flying back to Washington, also said he's considering new tariffs on Iran and Russia. 4 American soldiers remain missing in Lithuania, but the Army vehicle they were in has been pulled from a swamp today.
Poland's been helping out too, sending scuba divers and equipment to assist in the search. The 4 U.S. soldiers and their vehicle went missing at the Pobrade training ground near the border with Belarus last Tuesday.